She's a fighter for the American people, committed to our values, our hopes, our dreams, bringing joy back across our nation.
It's about damn time. Turn up the music. Turn down the lights.
Where did this strength and passion come from in this daughter of middle-class Oakland? Well, it started with her parents, her mother, a South Asian scientist, and her father, a Black economist. They took her to civil rights marches and inspired her to pursue her dreams. After her parents divorced, she and her sister were raised by her mother with the help of friends and neighbors, attending Sunday school at the 23rd Avenue Church.
We grew up in this wonderful, loving, supportive environment with caring adults and a lot of other kids. We were taken seriously as little people with opinions to be heard and to be defended.
My mother was very well aware that she was raising two Black girls to be two Black women.
Her mother saved up for 10 years to buy their first home and shared with Kamala the words and wisdom that remain her North Star to this day.
Be a fighter for things that matter and don't be limited by what has always been.
And then came a moment that changed Kamala Harris's destiny, the spark that lit the fire within.
When I was in high school, I had a best friend who I learned was being molested by her father.
This particular day, she was like, hey, you really, really are not yourself. There's something going on.
I said to her as soon as she told me, well, you have to come stay with us.
As you get older, you really, really reflect on how pivotal that intervention was at that crucial point of my life.
A big part of the reason I wanted to be a prosecutor was to protect people like her.
And on her first day in court, she rose from her chair at the prosecutor's desk and said, Kamala Harris for the people. As a prosecutor, she put violent criminals and sexual predators in prison, leading to the highest conviction rate for serious and violent crime in 15 years. She punished polluters for making our communities unsafe and created Back on Track, a program for first-time low-level drug offenders that became a national model.
About, yeah, you did commit a crime, accept it, own up to it, and then let's talk about what we can do to change the circumstances going forward.
Lowering recidivism rates for nonviolent offenders from 54% to 10%, giving people the training they needed to find a job after their sentence.
I know a success story. One of my good friends, Bruce, was facing 20 years, first-time offender, and he was able to get job training. He's home. He's trying to go to college. He has a girlfriend. He's living his life. He's a great kid.
I remember being so struck by having a district attorney who cared both about justice, about safety and accountability, but figuring out how to stop that crime from happening again.
She was one of the first pioneering minds to realize how important that is to the success of a community. Nobody had thought like that. It changed the whole entire makeup of criminal justice for the better.
As California's Attorney General, she targeted transnational gangs and drug cartels, seized 10,000 kilos of cocaine and 12,000 pounds of methamphetamine, went after drug traffickers and took 12,000 illegal guns off the streets, and targeted 140 drug, money laundering, and gang organizations.
She brought everything to the table to take the major players out. People power, technology, surveillance, insight, and you stabilize those neighborhoods and let them know that kids can play in the street again and that schools and education will be stronger. What we do in criminal justice impacts everything.
The new foreclosure crisis threatens to freeze up.
She took on the nation's 5 largest mortgage banks that were stealing from homeowners.
Prosecutors claim they've duped desperate homeowners into paying thousands of dollars to get them out of foreclosure.
We're aggressively investigating all aspects of this man-made disaster for which no man or entity has been held responsible.
She played hardball and delivered a landmark $20 billion settlement.
This represents one of the largest dollar amounts to come to California.
She built the foundation in how we do criminal justice in America.
And in 2016, the people of California sent her to represent them in Washington, D.C. In the Senate, she earned a reputation for taking on the tough fights on the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees.
Kamala hit the ground running. She came in with confidence. She was always respectful, but she would not let a witness off easily.
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
And if an argument didn't hold water, she could spot that flaw and get at it.
I do want you to be honest.
I'm not able to be rushed this fast. It makes me nervous.
And when Joe Biden went looking for his vice president,
I wanted someone who was strong and who was ready to be president on day one.
as vice president, she worked to cap insulin costs for seniors at $35, to replace lead pipes and provide clean water for communities and remove medical debt from credit reports.
That gives you a little hope that I can pay off these other merchants and other things. And then once we're growing, we're actually growing. And that's all we want to see.
She helped create 16 million jobs.
The Biden-Harris bipartisan infrastructure bill has already created thousands of jobs for our members. The American middle class will always be at its strongest when the wages of the working class are at its highest. That is what the future looks like under a president, Kamala Harris.
She fought to reduce the trauma of gun violence that has devastated our nation.
How many of you guys as college students had to have a drill during high school or middle school or elementary school where you learned about how you need to hide in a closet or crouch in a corner in the event that there is a mass shooter roaming the hallways of your school? Look at that. Look at that.
And she did more than talk the talk. She walked the walk, helping pass the first bipartisan legislation in 30 years to curb gun violence.
So one thing I learned about working with Vice President Harris is she always stand on business.
She has traveled the world to strengthen our national security and restore our global leadership, meeting with more than 150 heads of state. She stood shoulder to shoulder with our allies and stood up to dictators, helping to unite NATO behind Ukraine and impose punishing costs on Russia.
She has the foreign policy chops to get the job done.
She's led the fight for reproductive freedom.
We have worked too hard and fought too long to see our daughters grow up in a world with fewer rights than our mothers.
The first vice president to visit an abortion clinic, she built a nationwide grassroots movement to ensure that access to abortion, IVF, and birth control will always be protected.
Ending a non-viable pregnancy is considered an illegal abortion. For 3 days, I waited to get sick enough to deserve care. Through it all, Vice President Harris has been a fierce fighter for reproductive freedoms, and she's also been an incredibly inspiring and caring friend.
In the halls of power, she's a tough prosecutor, an effective policymaker, a powerful leader. And at home, she's the center of her family.
I'm not giving up.
She's peak Kamala, man. She's just peak Kamala.
She's the best godmother, auntie. She's honest. She's loving, incredibly reliable, She's one of the most loyal people you'll ever meet.
Because of the way we were raised to leave this world more fair and more just for more people than when we entered it, she's moving with purpose.
That is why I believe she is so prepared to be our next president. This love she has for her family, being there for all of us. That's how she will lead this country, being there for everyone.
She's a proud graduate of Harvard University.
Hey, you know.
Her campaign is a force of nature, generating the excitement we've all been yearning for.
A campaign of joy, of love, of care.
I am so fundamentally inspired. Kamala Harris will be our next president because there's too much on the line to stay on the sidelines.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Thank you for bringing back the joy.
Sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that door down.
Inspired by the strength of her single mother, never forgetting her roots, this woman is at the vanguard of this defining moment in our nation's history.
The middle class is one of America's greatest strengths. I will fight to bring down costs and increase economic security for all Americans. When the middle class is strong, America is strong.
She's bringing us together, moving us from darkness to light, and we're not going back. For ours is a fight for freedom and a fight for the future.
We are not going back.
She's a protector, a strong voice for common sense, a leader for tomorrow, committed to healing our country, dedicated to doing the hard work to make us stronger.
I now declare you spouses for life.
Someone who truly understands the struggles of everyday Americans. Forged by the challenges of the past, ready for any challenge that may arise. Now is the time, America. The joy is back, the pride is back, the hope is back. She's doing the work. She's fighting for us. She's the new way forward, our way forward. She is the next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Hey, folks, it is Sunday, October 27, 2024. Welcome to our Win with Black Men call. It is 9 days before Election Day. Of course, Tuesday, November 5th, but early voting is taking place all across the country. And so it's critically important for you to make sure that you are making your vote known. Now, early voting began in Michigan yesterday. Detroit, we need y'all to show out in a huge way. Lansing, Flint, all across the state. That's what we need y'all to do. Also, Missouri began October 22nd, goes through November 4th. And so, again, needs to happen. In Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, we need y'all showing out in huge numbers. Also, if you have asked for your ballot, return your ballot. Please do so. Get that early vote in. It is absolutely critical. And so we are going down to the wire. I was in Houston on Friday with the vice president. Massive rally in Houston. Some 30,000 people were there. Then, of course, she headed to Michigan. She's in Philadelphia today, attended various church services and also campaigned across the city. And surrogates been fanning out across the country, including Governor Tim Walz. Obviously, the vice presidential candidate, but former President Bill Clinton. Yesterday, Michelle Obama was with the vice president in Kalamazoo, or somebody said Kamala Zoo. And so a lot has been happening. And so, and then she's going to be giving a major speech at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. Some 20,000 folks are expected. We'll be broadcasting live there. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. So we got a great lineup of folks for you today, including former President Barack Obama. So let's bring in our co-panelists for Women with Black Men, Khalil Thompson, Executive Director, Women with Black Men. Khalil.
Great to be here, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we got you. Go right ahead.
Happy to be with everybody tonight. This is going to be an amazing evening. Excited for all of this hard work that all of you have been doing around the country. Please, if you have a chance, go to womenwithblackmen.org, sign up to be a state captain, get on the bus with us and go to either DC to Pennsylvania, South Carolina to Georgia, Virginia to North Carolina, or Chicago, Illinois to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are leading out buses this weekend and next weekend, our final weekend to get it out. So please sign up to be a state captain or get on the bus. And also finally, sign up to be a part of our Tuesday Day of Action. Tuesday is National Early Vote Day. We are trying to do as much as we can in all of the state capitals around the country. I believe it was the 25th anniversary of the Million Man March. I maybe have my dates wrong on that in terms of the years, but the anniversary of the Million Man March was just about a week ago. We are trying to organize 1 million brothers in their state capitals to show up and drive voters to go vote in a massive mobilization effort. So if you haven't already, go to the website, winwithblackmen.org tonight, sign up to be a state captain, get on a bus in one of our out-of-state volunteer programs, and sign up to be a part of our Day of Action on this coming Tuesday, October 29th. Really excited about tonight's conversation and hearing from my president, Barack Obama, later on. I'm going to kick it over to my other co-host. I believe we either have Quentin James, Bakari Sellers, or Michael Blake.
Yeah, Michael Blake. Michael Blake is up next. So let's bring up Michael Blake. Mike.
What's going on, brothers? Good evening, everybody. Good to see you, brothers. Appreciate you and very proud of you. Michael Blake, Bronx, New York. We are here tonight, 9 days from an election that will determine where we go as Black men. And so we're grateful for all of you that rocked with us, the 54,000 that got down with us on that opening call. And now you've stayed consistent. And it's sending a message that our president, or President 44, is joining us tonight, and President Barack Obama. Very specific things. First and foremost, if there is any question you have about where to go vote, everybody, iwillvote.com, iwillvote.com, iwillvote.com. If there's any other question you have, go there so you can understand how you lock in, how you find out what's happening, in particular in these states. For example, in Michigan, you can vote straight ticket up and down on the front side, but you have to turn the ballot over on the back side so you can actually know about the state Supreme Court races happening there, like Kamala Harris Bolden. Or when you think about in North Carolina, where you have one state Supreme Court race and then 3 other judges as well, we need you to be involved in mobilizing in that particular way. So when you think about what's happening, iwillvote.com is a critical effort. Second, it is important for us to be thinking about voter protection all the time. Shout out to Meredith Horton, who is absolutely doing her thing all day, every day on the national level. We need everybody here. And so in particular in Georgia, I want to shout this out to Janelle Bechtel and the entire team down there. 888-730-5816. That's the Georgia voter protection line in particular, because I know there's been a lot of questions around that. 888-730-5816. For anyone that's having questions around Georgia in particular, because people have been asking and trying to understand about voter protection holistically. If you have questions around voter protection, brothers, doesn't matter what the question is, VO Pro volunteer at KamalaHarris.com. Again, VO Pro volunteer at KamalaHarris.com. We need you to be engaged so you can understand what's happening. Equally, there's a lot of organizations that are doing the work on the ground. When you think about all of us here on the line, of course, shout out to Women Black Men with Khalil, shout out to Collective with Quentin James, to Bakari Sellers doing his thing every day, all day on CNN, to Roland, who's been a blessing of Black Star Network, and what we do at Kairos Democracy Project. But you have other organizations that we want to make sure you support. When you're thinking about Mondale Robinson, when you think about Joe Paul, when you think about the team at Until Freedom, you think about Woke Vote, when you think about Black Church PAC, there are many organizations on the ground who need you, everybody. And so to that point, we're encouraging you to learn about and join us. We're doing a briefing tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, around all the mis and disinformation that's being communicated around the country, so you can understand how organizations are preparing for that and will counter that. And so we need you to be a part of that. So again, Kairos Democracy Project, we're hosting Monday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, so you can understand how we can counter the mis and disinformation, because we know what's going to be happening across the board. Lastly, shout out to all the brothers again that are doing the work. An incredible Black Man Barbershop event that happened in Pennsylvania today, where Jordan Harris, who is still grieving his lost wife, still hosted the vice president for an incredible conversation. Powerful for that. Shout out to the brothers that are doing the work all across the country. We got you, we have you, and that's why we have President Obama with us tonight. So stay with us. We have a great panel with great conversations. Follow the link that's in the chat as well, so we can get you involved over this next 9 days. We need you, we got you, we love you. Brother Martin, back over to you.
All right, Michael, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, folks. Let's go to Quentin James, co-founder of the Collective PAC. Quentin?
Hey, guys. Thank you so much, Roland. Thank you so much, Blake and Khalil. Hey, everybody. We are 9 days out, and I want us to all take a breath. Understand that Black men are doing the work, and we are where we need to be. There was a new recent ABC News poll that showed Black men supporting Vice President Harris 85% to 11%, much of what we've already known in our communities. She's actually outperforming Joe Biden by 14 points at this point in the 2020 election. And so we are here tonight, I think, number one, to stop all the nonsense that Black men are not supporting the Vice President. We are supporting the Vice President. And we actually have the data to prove that. We're going to bring up some slides real quick and talk to you actually about what's happening in the 7 battleground states around the country with early vote turnout. Perfect. Let's go to the next slide, Keenan. Thank you. All right. So you may not be able to see these numbers. I'm going to read them out to you very briefly. So in the 7 battleground states, we're talking about Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. In those 7 states, there are 6.7 million registered Black voters. As of about 2 days ago, 1.6 million Black voters have already voted in those states. Almost 1 in 4 Black voters who are registered in the 7 battleground states have already voted, which is great news. That means what you all are doing around the country is working. And so we want to thank you all, but we also know that we got to continue to do the work. Let's go 2 slides, Keenan. Let's go 1 more. Perfect. So this is Black turnout by gender and state of these 7 battleground states. And what we are seeing is not to alarm you all, but it is to communicate that we got a little bit more work to do. There has always been, nobody talking about Black and white, talking about Asian or Hispanic, there's always been a gender gap in terms of voter turnout. But what we want to do this year, brothers, is close that gap as much as we can. And so in some of these states right now, women are voting above us. This is Black women and Black men. Black women are voting, by 3, 4, 5, 6 points above us in some states. It is our job to really lean in there, brothers. Again, we know we're doing a good job so far. We know the support is there. But this next 9 days, we need you all to do everything you can to get every brother you know to show up and vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. Next slide, and this gets into the nitty-gritty of what I want to talk to you all about. This looks at age across 3 of the swing states, Georgia, Michigan, and North Carolina. What we know as of right now, over half of Black voters 65 and over have already voted. Over half of them. So what that means to us is all the work we've been doing in Black churches, and kudos to the Black Church PAC and Reverend Jamal Bryant, who'll be on later on tonight. You all doing an amazing job turning out older Black voters. We are doing great, though. Let's keep it up. Let's get to as many of them as possible to turn out and vote. But if you look at young people, 18 to really 35, those numbers are very, very low. Michigan is a little bit of is interesting because they just started early vote. So Georgia and North Carolina, they've been voting longer than Michigan has with early vote. But when it comes to young people across the board, we have to get turnout up. And so if you need a directive tonight in terms of who you should be targeting with your engagement, with your work or your organization, we need to talk to young Black voters. So as Black men, we need you all to be surrogate fathers for the next 9 days. If you see a Black young person, they are your child, a child of our community. We need you to encourage them to show up and vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. We've got to get these numbers up over the next 7-8 days before we go into Election Day. But all that to be said, Black men are showing up, Black voters are showing up. We know Black men are going to support Vice President Harris. We just got to finish the race, y'all. 9 days to finish the race. All right, so a few more things on how you all can use some resources to do your work. Next slide. So through the Vote to Live Action Fund that we run here at the Collective PAC, we are providing free vouchers for ride shares to go and vote. So we will get these codes out to you all, but we're working in Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania. We provide a $30 voucher through Uber for folks to go and vote early. It's a free ride. We don't want there to be any excuses for folks not showing up to vote. You can go to either votetolive.org or go to ridestovote.com to secure your free ride to vote. We don't want there to be any excuse. So yes, make sure every person you know, especially young people, that they use those ride codes to get a $30 Uber voucher to show up and vote early and on Election Day. And last slide, we are hiring up to 15,000 people as voting ambassadors. So if you live in the states of Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, you can get paid up to $400 for simply spending about 2 or 3 hours organizing your friends and family online, on your own computer, on your own phone. You can go and sign up right now, rallyvotes.com/collective PAC, and make up to $400 for just a few hours of work organizing your family and friends online. We know that the most effective kind of way that we get information is from people that we trust. So we need you all to lean into, again, your friends, your family, your networks to get them out to vote. And we're going to pay you to do it. Again, we're hiring up to 15,000 people. So you don't got to just keep this one to yourself, y'all. Spread the word, rallyvotes.com/collective PAC. We want to hire everybody to make sure they get out their friends, family, and networks to join this work. And last but not least, as Michael said, we want to make sure everybody has everything that they need to go and vote. So this last slide just shows you, if you want to find out what's on your ballot, the actual offices or ballot initiatives that will be on your ballot, or find your polling site, or get a free ride to vote, go to votetolive.org, spread that word. We got everything there lined up for you to take care of what you need to take care of to make sure that we vote. So again, all right, you can take the slides off, Keenan. Thank you so much, Roland. We're good to go.
All right, so appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So all speakers, please adhere to the time. We've got lots of folks literally over the next 2.5 hours who are speaking. And so please, and we're talking about 90 seconds, please, for speakers, because again, make your point, hit it, quit it, because we got to get to all of these speakers. Let's bring up Bakari Sellers, one of our co-hosts. Bakari. All right, Bakari there.
How you doing, my brother?
Bakari, showing no camera. All right, there you go.
I'm here, brother. How are you all? Sorry about the darkness on my way to the airport. I'm going to be extremely brief. Shout out to Khalil, Mike Blake, Quentin James, and yourself, Roland, for helping us put this together. Brothers, I'm happy to be here with everybody. It's a big day when you have 44 joining the call. I'm in Philadelphia this week with another Black Men event. I'm in Arizona this week. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada this week. We're doing everything we can do. So please, 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 we see the numbers. The vice president is in extremely good spirits. She believes she's going to win this thing. I believe we're going to win this thing. Thank you all for joining is my message. Make sure you go out and vote. Grab a brother, be a surrogate father. Make sure these young brothers vote as well. Thanks, Roland.
Bakar, certainly appreciate it. Stay safe on the road. All right, then. I like that. That was 40 seconds. Way to go. All right. Let's go to we're gonna start with a Kappa. Because he hosted vice president last week at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Women are wearing all of the pink there. Reverend Jamal Bryant out of Atlanta. He joins us right now. Shockingly, he doesn't have any crimson and cream on. Jamal, go right ahead.
Thank you, and I'll take the rest of Bakar's time. I'm grateful. Gentlemen, never in the history of our democracy has the black men's vote have been more scrutinized, observed, and pondered. I am believing that black men can tilt this election. When you look at the list of endangered species, it goes from a tiger to a blue whale to an elephant to a panda to a cheetah. And the law says if you are an endangered species, it is illegal to harm them, to hurt them, to hunt them, to trap them, or to kill them. Black men are the only species in America that is unprotected. Top on that list is a black rhinoceros that is endangered. It's number 2. And the strange thing, brothers, about rhinoceros, it anatomically does not have what it takes to go backwards. It can only go forward. That's what the vice president is trying to do, is take black men forward. Over 1 million forgivable loans going forward. Giving mentorship for us to get a trade going forward. Access to capital for us to buy homes going forward. So, gentlemen, the revolution will not be televised. It's happening in the ballot box over the next 10 days. And so I want all of us to join forces together, black men, and let's elect a black woman. I believe that we can, and black men are going to make it happen. Thank you, Roland.
Oh, man, a long time preacher actually got done in 1 minute and 27 seconds. Look at you.
Won't he do it?
Show up and show out. All right, Pastor Jamal Bryant, we certainly appreciate you joining us on the call. Let's now go to Robert Apong, who is with Win with Black Men. Robert, you're up. All right, is Robert there?
Yes, how you guys doing? Good evening,
all
everybody.
Right, Robert, go right ahead.
Perfect. Good evening, brothers. Thank you all for joining this historical call tonight. My name is Robert O'Connor. I'm part of the Win with Black Men team. I'll be giving some updates on a few activities we have planned this upcoming week. First, I'll jump into our Get on the Bus program, where Win with Black Men and volunteers will jump on a large charter bus and travel city to city while directly engaging in Black men and their families, while bringing our message of civic engagement and also the power to vote. We also have our Day of Action on October 29th, where we'll be looking to mobilize Black men all across the country to participate in civic activities and also encouraging others to do the same. Please, if you are interested in joining or participating, volunteering, please reach out to us. You can also go to our website, winwithblackmen.org. Thank you.
All right, Robert, there you go. That's how you handle that. 48 seconds. Go ahead, handle your business. Let's see here. I don't see Kamala Harris co-chair Cedric Richmond. So let me know when he's on. So let's go to the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus out of Nevada. My alpha brother, Congressman Stephen Horsford. All right, there you go, Congressman. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Yep, you're live.
All right. Well, thank you, Roland. It's great to be with everybody. This is Congressman Stephen Horsford from Nevada, here in Las Vegas, actually in North Las Vegas at one of our field offices. Just kicked off a canvas event, had Governor Tim Walz here doing one of our outreach events on behalf of the campaign. I wanted to get on behalf of the Congressional Black Caucus, myself, being from a battleground state in a very competitive district, both here in the House as well as winning the White House with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and to really just reinforce the stakes of this election and just how important it is. It's battleground states like Nevada that are going to make the difference in making sure that we win the requisite electoral votes to win big. Right here in Nevada, It's a close but promising results already from the first week of early vote. We are leading here in Clark County with both our mail ballots as well as with the early votes to date. But there are still a lot of votes out that we are working to make sure come in here in the next week while early vote continues till November 3rd. But specifically when it comes to the issues of Black men, I'm proud that Vice President Kamala Harris has outlined a specific plan that speaks to us. From her National Health Equity Initiative that addresses the inequities of sickle cell as well as diabetes. These are issues that directly impact Black men and Black lives, and I'm excited that she's centering that issue. Also, her focus on addressing the fact that only 1% of the classroom teachers in America are Black men, and that she's going to build a teacher pipeline of educators, Black male educators in the classroom and in administration, speaks to the fact that she understands the need to have Black men in every position, including in the front of a classroom. That's important for our children, and it's important for every other child to see leaders in the classroom and in every other sector. So whether it's taking on the issue of entrepreneurship, addressing the wage gap, making sure that home ownership continues to be a priority, she is speaking to us. And I know that as Black men, we do have a political perspective and that our votes matter in this upcoming election. And that is why Win with Black Men and this call is so important. I want to thank you, Roland, Bakari, Michael Blake, and all of the organizers for making sure that our voices continue to be centered in this conversation, and to have President Barack Obama and others leading this cause also ensures that we are being counted in this upcoming election. So thank you to everyone who's doing their part in the coming days. We have 8 days and a wake up to make sure that we win, and I appreciate being on from the state of Nevada.
All right, Congressman Stephen Horsford, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And folks, of course, in Nevada, be sure to vote in his congressional race as well. All right, folks, let's go to the president and CEO of the National Urban League, former mayor of New Orleans, and also my alpha brother, Mark Morial. Mark?
Hey, thank you very much, Roland. And I want to just join in thanking all of the organizers, Khalil, Bakari, Michael Blake, Quentin, for not only organizing this call, but for bringing this effort around Black men right to the forefront. Number two, all I will say is I've been in Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta. I'll be going back to Philadelphia. We should remember that the road to the White House travels right through the Black community. And Black men, we have the power to call the shot, to make a difference, to really, really determine who will win this election. And we've got to reaffirm our commitment and our support for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has paid her dues. Kamala Harris is ready to lead. I've heard some brothers say, is she strong enough? Yes, she is. Is she qualified? Yes, she is. Does she have a plan? Yes, she does. We need to debunk all of the misinformation and the disinformation about our candidacy, which is being placed in the community simply to create chaos and confusion and get us to take our eye off the prize. And the prize is to elect her. I also just want to, in closing, encourage us to, in the days that come, to one, encourage everyone to have a plan to vote everything up and down the ticket. Please reinforce that. And number three, let's all take 5 people with us. By that, I mean, take responsibility to ensure that 5 people in your circle also vote and participate in this election. We have a chance to make history yet again. But more importantly than that, we have a chance to save American democracy. Let's not miss this opportunity. Black men, we must lead. Thank you, Roland.
All right, Mark, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Is Damon Hewitt there, Lawrence Committee for Civil Rights under law? Do we have Damon there? We're waiting on a couple of folks. In about 4 minutes. In about 4 minutes, we'll be hearing from former President Barack Obama. Keenan, let's do this here. Of course, Donald Trump has made all sorts of critical comments about cities that where African Americans have significant population, and the Harris campaign has been hitting back. She was in Philadelphia today. Keenan, let's roll the ad the Harris campaign dropped. Roll the ad they dropped with regard to Philadelphia.
Philly Tough is different. They insult us.
Bad things happen in Philadelphia. Bad things.
They don't like us. We don't care. Because here's the thing that people like Donald Trump don't understand. We're Philly. F***ing Philly. And when you fight us, we fight back. From 1776 to 4th and 26th. So go ahead. Talk whatever you want, Donald. We're voting soon. And when it comes to freedom, Philly's undefeated.
All right then. And so that's a tough one there. Look, now we've been telling y'all in Detroit, y'all got to do y'all part. Donald Trump came and gave an economic speech a couple of weeks ago, insulted your city in Detroit. I'm telling you, if Detroit turns out at 55% eligible voters, and I'm telling you, we should be hitting 70. Detroit, if y'all turn out at 55% of all eligible voters in Detroit, cakewalk, Vice President Harris wins Michigan. The man insulted your city. It's time for payback. And this is how the Harris campaign responded.
They said we were dead.
Detroit waving the white flag, the city filing for bankruptcy.
That our best days were behind us. That living here is like
living in hell.
But you know what we said? We said, F that. We rebuilt ourselves. We look out for each other. Got our hands dirty and put in the hard work. And this guy, he don't know anything about that. We are a city of winners, of up-and-comers, of builders. The Motor City. Bigger and better. Here, we believe in freedom. We don't bow down to nobody, and we never will. And so what Donald Trump doesn't understand, or care to learn, is that when he said,
our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president,
that he should be so goddamn lucky.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
All right, then. So that's how they responded there. And so powerful ads there as well, and critically important. As we've been telling you folks, we're going down to the wire. This is a turnout game. We have seen tremendous jumps in Fulton County over the last couple of days. We're seeing records being broken, but we need to be going harder. And that is driving our turnout. So that means calling as many people, hitting as many people, texting them as well, asking them, and also taking folks to the polls, driving them to the polls as well. So that's what we need to do. And so lots of speakers coming up. But now it's time for us to bring forward someone that who is our special guest. Bring up Khalil Thompson. Khalil, we, of course, been doing these phone calls since July. And so joining us is the former president, 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama.
Well, thank you, Ron. It's an honor to have him here. It's a big moment for us at Win with Black Men. A major moment. There's only a Superman second to my president, 44. That's my dad, Oswald Thompson. So I know he's watching tonight. President, it is an amazing honor to have you here with us to do some good community organizing. And with that, we are going to turn it over to you, sir.
It is great to be with all of you. And I could not be prouder of a couple of you. Khalil and Mike Blake, who worked on my campaign. Y'all were young men, and I'm noticing some gray. I'm not the only guy who's getting a little gray here, but you guys have taken the torch, and Roland obviously, was on the scene throughout my presidency. To see what all of you have organized, to see the hundreds of thousands of African-American men who you have activated, mobilized, connected, lifted up, to see the concrete work that is being done at the grassroots level, to educate folks on the issues, to raise money, to register people. I could not be prouder. And it is a testament not only to your skills and your commitment to making sure that our democracy works for us and our communities and our people, but it's also a testament to the fact that there are a lot of brothers out there who want to get involved, and if given the opportunity and given a direction, are ready to roll up their sleeves and make things happen. Look, I know y'all have been on, continuously over the course of this campaign. I don't have to tell you that this is going to be a very tight election. As my wife said yesterday, some of you, I'm sure, caught her speech in Kalamazoo. It shouldn't be this close because the candidates are not comparable. You have, on the one hand, Donald Trump, somebody who, as president of the United States, showed contempt for huge sections of the country, who did not, show the capacity to move legislation that actually helped ordinary people. Somebody who botched the response to the pandemic in ways that were profoundly costly to not just our communities, but communities all across America. And somebody whose main motivation seems to be his ego and his money and his status, and whose politics is basically focused on how do we divide people between us, meaning people like him or people who support him, and them, everybody else. And that kind of divisive politics, look, there's a long history of that in America, but it's not the kind of politics that moves things forward. It's not the kind of politics that creates jobs or helps people afford the rent or provides young people with a quality education or moves the country forward in terms of building and adapting to this future economy and providing people the skills they need to compete. So that's their nominee. And on the other side, you've got Kamala Harris, who at every stage has shown herself to be a champion of ordinary people, who works to provide a voice for folks who need it, who has displayed consistent excellence at every level, from being a district attorney to being a attorney general of California, to being a U.S. senator, and now to being vice president. She is as qualified as any presidential nominee that we've ever seen. And her message is directly focused on the challenges that we face as Black men and that our communities face and that America faces. She has very concrete ideas in terms of how do we bring down prices and costs. She has very concrete ideas, building 3 million new homes to help make housing more affordable and to help first-time home buyers have the down payment they need in order to be able to move into a new home and get that piece of the American dream. She's focused on entrepreneurship. And, as I'm sure all of you have spoken about, the time has passed where people are looking for something for free. They want something of their own, something they can build. And the opportunity for them to get $20,000 or $30,000 to start up a business, to be able to work hard and ultimately not only help their families, but help their communities by building wealth and building investment opportunities and creating the kinds of Black-owned businesses that can succeed. That is the kind of agenda that she's got. And she has run an outstanding campaign over these last 3 months. But it's still going to be tight. And it's going to be tight in a handful of states. And a fraction of voters, 1%, 2%, 3%, a few thousand votes in a few counties in North Carolina or Georgia or Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin or Nevada or Arizona. That's going to determine whether or not we've got the kind of country that understands and believes and cares about our communities, or a government that dismisses it and disregards it and sees us as an afterthought. Now, a couple of things I wanted to just add to this, because I've been traveling all across the country. I've been getting a chance to meet folks, talk to brothers, see what's on their minds. And a couple of things that I've heard. Number one is, understandably, a lot of our folks are concerned about the economy. And they say, you know what? I've got memories that those first couple of years of Donald Trump's presidency, the economy was pretty good. Well, they're right about that. What they don't seem to understand, and I think it's important for everybody who is listening to help explain to people, is that the economy was good Donald Trump's first 2 years because it was my economy. I had spent 8 years previously, and Roland remembers this, and Michael and Khalil and others, you guys remember, when we came in, we had a crisis on our hands of unprecedented magnitude. And we dug ourselves out of the hole that had been caused by a Republican presidency and lax regulation of Wall Street. And we put the auto industry back on track. We stabilized the financial system. And we had 75 months of straight job growth when I turned the economy over to Donald Trump. That was not his doing. That was our doing. The only thing he did was to cut taxes for folks who didn't need it, for billionaires and gazillionaires. And that is what he's now trying to claim credit for. All he did was drive up the deficit and make rich people richer. It didn't help us. So that's point number one. And I just want to make sure that people understand that so that they don't have some hazy memory about that. Second thing I hear folks say is, well, during the pandemic, Trump sent us a check. You know what? First of all, it was Congress and Democrats and Republicans who sent you a check. Just like Joe Biden, working with Congress, sent you a check during the pandemic, emergency relief, just like I sent emergency relief to people during the Great Recession when I first came into office. The difference is that Joe Biden and I did not put our names on the check. So do not think that somehow because you got a check from Donald Trump, quote unquote, during the pandemic, that somehow that's something special that he did. And that justifies you giving him his vote. So that's the second thing I hear. And then the third thing that I've been hearing from a lot of guys I talk to is, well, what does it matter? Because the Democratic Party and Republican Party, it doesn't make any difference. Things don't change in my neighborhood. People are still getting shot. People still don't have jobs. There's still disinvestment. And I have to remind folks that, politics is not going to change everything. Sometimes we overhype it. Certainly we overhyped it when I got elected. People talked about, well, there's a sign that racism is gone. He's going to help make sure that there's no more poverty in America. That no president has that power. What a president can do is make things better or make things worse. They can't solve every problem. And so when I was president, we made sure that people who didn't have health care had a chance to get health care. Now 50 million people have the Affordable Care Act. And as a consequence, there are a whole bunch of people who previously, if they got sick, were out of luck, might have lost their home, might have lost everything they had, all their savings, just to try to get treatment. Now they can purchase cheap, affordable, and high quality health care in ways they couldn't do that before. 50 million people. 50 million more people, if they've got pre-existing conditions, can now obtain insurance and previously would not have been able to obtain insurance. That didn't solve the entire healthcare problem, but it made things better for a whole lot of folks. Everybody who's listening today, you know somebody who's got health insurance because of what we did. So in the same way that Obamacare made a difference, what Kamala and Joe Biden did on making insulin cheaper, capping the cost at $35 or 50 prescription drugs, capping that because now the government's negotiating prices. That means your grandmother, your father, your mother are able to afford health insurance that, or afford prescription drugs that they might not have otherwise been able to obtain. And they're better for it. Their lives have improved. It didn't solve all the problems in the healthcare system, but it made things better. And that's how politics works. The flip side is it can make things, a bad president can make things worse. I mentioned the pandemic and COVID. America had a 60% worse death rate than Canada. And over 1 million people died in America. So about 600,000 people died disproportionately, by the way, African-American or Latino, that didn't necessarily need to die if we had had a better response. And I put together a playbook for how to deal with pandemics 3 years before the pandemic happened. And I handed it over to Donald Trump. And he basically ignored it. And when the pandemic showed up, because he had not followed the plan, not prepared agencies, he was just winging it and ended up saying crazy stuff about injecting bleach as a cure for COVID. COVID would have been a problem for any president, but making it better would have saved lives. Donald Trump did not. And those lives, somebody passed away as a consequence of a poor response to that crisis coming out of the White House. So the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is this. When you are talking to people who say politics don't matter, concede to them, acknowledge to them, yeah, it's not going to solve every problem, but it can make a difference in terms of our schools a little bit better funded. Are there more Pell Grants out there to make college a little bit more affordable? Are we going to maintain the progress that we've made and build on it when it comes to making sure our communities have health care, preventive care, checkups? And as Michelle talked about yesterday, are we going to make sure that our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, that they have access to basic reproductive health care that is so vital to them? And we're already seeing an increase in infant mortality since the Trump abortion ban got adopted essentially in 20 states. I will close with this. You know, we don't have what's called direct democracy. You know, we don't vote on everything. We vote for people to then represent our interests, and a president is supposed to represent all the people, and you know, has got a million decisions that will come before him or her. And we can't know all facets of the government and all the decisions that are being made on a daily basis. So what we count on is electing somebody who's got the values and the character to do the job, the competence to do the job. And what we also count on is, do they see us? Do they care about us? Is this somebody who understands how I live and what my hopes and dreams and aspirations are? And Kamala Harris does. You know, she grew up middle class. She went to an HBCU. She understands what our communities go through, the struggles, having to work a little bit harder to get ahead, having to put up with stuff that, you know, hopefully in the future, our children and grandchildren won't have to put up with. And in contrast, Donald Trump has shown utter disrespect and disregard for our communities and for Black men specifically throughout his career. I mean, this is somebody who took out a full-page ad calling on the Central Park Five to be put to death. Somebody whose family made money not renting to Black people, and was taken to court by the government because they didn't want to rent to Black people. That's what he has displayed. Remember, he came into politics most recently by suggesting I was not born in the United States. I mean, that wasn't subtle. He was sending a message that real Americans are different from y'all. And the one thing I know is that you can't have somebody representing you who doesn't see you and respect you and is not going to have your experience, your concerns in mind as they're making these decisions. So, look, bottom line is, if over the next few days, and we only have a few days left, you are reaching out to people who are suggesting that this doesn't matter, or heaven forbid, are thinking that somehow Donald Trump has the answers to what ails our communities, it's going to be your task to educate them, because a lot of them are basing what they are thinking about this race on what they're seeing on TikTok. And I don't have the capacity to reach them. Even if they like me, they may not hear what I've got to say, or they may think, man, his life is so different that he can't relate to where I'm at. The most credible messengers for this campaign in these closing days, hours, minutes is going to be all of you. You talking to your friends, relatives, people in your communities, your coworkers, your ability to speak to them in real talk about what's at stake and why this is so important is going to make all the difference. And if you all do that, I promise you, Kamala Harris is going to be the next president of the United States, and we can build on the progress we've already made and look forward to a much brighter future. So I appreciate all of you. And thank you for the extraordinary work you guys are doing. I'm proud of you.
President Obama, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
You talked about when you came in, the crisis that we were in, it was because of the housing crisis. I mean, it was 53% of Black wealth was wiped out. Right. And you tried to deal with that, and we didn't build a lot of homes, frankly, between 2010 and 2019. Can you talk about why her plan to build 3 million new homes is so important to deal with the housing price of rent, things like that?
It's vitally important. We never fully recovered from what happened in 2008, 2009, because not only did the housing market collapse and suddenly all kinds of mortgages were underwater and prices plunged, but essentially developers said, we're not going to go take the risk of building new housing. And so they pulled back. There was a lot of excess inventory. And what they started getting comfortable with was the idea of just building luxury housing that was for the people who still had a lot of cash, and not building a lot of affordable housing. And look, there's some work that we need to do, and Kamala is committed to doing this work, not just to financing the construction of new homes, but also making sure we get rid of some of the red tape and regulations, even in democratically controlled cities that say, all right, we're zoning so that it has to be single family homes as opposed to multifamily units, which are cheaper, but provide people the ability to get a foothold into the housing market. She's got a concrete plan. It is a sound plan. Again, I want to make sure that we don't overhype this. She's not going to immediately, or even in one term, reverse all the problems that we've seen building up in the housing markets over the last decade. But she's going to make a substantial dent. And that is the kind of initiatives that we're going to need to make in order for our communities to have the same opportunity for owning their own home and building and accumulating wealth as other communities are able to do.
You also had to grapple with issues dealing with police and shootings. And you talked about Donald Trump's record. I mean, here's somebody who is openly saying he wants to give police 100% immunity. He wants to bring back stop and frisk. And he wants to let cops loose for a week that he says will fix all the problems. That should be dangerous to any black man out there, whether you are low income, working class, middle class, upper income. That's scary.
Well, you remember what was Stevie Wonder's song? You can't cash in your face. So, that's something that impacts everybody. And again, most criminal law is dealt with at the state levels. The vast majority of people who are incarcerated under state law. Federal government accounts for maybe, let's say, 10% of criminal law. But when I was president, for example, Eric Holder was my attorney general. And after discussions with Eric, one of the things he did was to change policy inside the Justice Department to send a message to attorney generals. You will not be rewarded simply for getting the maximum sentence on nonviolent drug offenses. You will be rewarded for getting the fair and proportional sentence. And that was a system-wide change in policy. And it's one of the reasons why during the course of my presidency, we saw a drop in the federal prison population at the same time as we saw a drop in crime, right? So the president can set a tone. And the tone I tried to set was not to say that police were somehow always wrong. The vast majority of police are trying to do a tough job. And a lot of our communities are under-policed and need more police, but they need police that are partners with the community, that know the local businesses, that know parents, know the schools, know the kids, can distinguish between somebody who is actually trying to create a danger for that community and a kid who's just wearing a hoodie. And, there are a whole range of strategies in which the federal government can work with state and local and municipal governments to try to continue to improve the building of trust between our communities and police departments, to help make sure that there's funding there to train police so that they can do a job that will keep them safe, as well as make sure that everybody is focused on stopping crime and not just resorting to stereotypes. That can be done, but it's sure not going to be done by Donald Trump. It's going to be done by somebody like Kamala Harris, who has experience as a prosecutor, but also understands that our criminal justice system works best and our communities are safest when people can reliably count on making sure that the criminal justice system is not subject to any kind of racial bias. And that's a big task. We're not going to do it again in the first year or 2 or 5, but we can get started moving on the right direction. So listen, I just want to thank everybody who's been involved. Roland, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Khalil. Thank Thank you, Michael. Quinn, everybody who's been involved, everybody who's out there, let's make sure to get to work. We got a few days left, and there, there's nothing that we can't do for 10 days. Us putting everything we got into it. The day after, our communities and this country is going to feel better if we understand that we're moving forward with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, as opposed to if we wake up and now we're hearing more of the crazy talk coming out of a Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and the entire crew of people that they've now surrounded themselves with. My understanding, they were in Madison Square Garden today, and some of the stuff they were talking about gives you some indication of the kinds of divisive politics that they represent. That's not what this country needs. That's not going to help people pay the bills, raise their families, make sure their kids got a bright future. Kamala and Tim, they're going to put us on the right track. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot. Khalil? Khalil, you're on mute, Khalil.
I think the president
go.
said it best. I'm going to kick it back over to you to keep us going. But as a fellow former skinny kid with a funny name, I know it was really exciting to have him on tonight. I hope everybody took the message. If you haven't had a chance, you can go to winwithblackmen.org, donate to support the amazing work that we're doing as we're engaging young brothers and brothers throughout our entire communities, whether you're on the East Coast, the Midwest, the Southeast, or the West Coast, or the Southwest or the West Coast. Please sign up to get on a bus to go knock on doors in some of these battleground states that we have. Sign up to be a state captain on our day of action this coming Tuesday and the following weekend. This coming Tuesday is National Early Vote Day. Again, continue to donate. We all love that movie. We love the money that jingles, but we appreciate the money that folds. And then if you haven't had a chance, click on our newly launched store. You can get your Win with Black Men t-shirt tonight or your hoodie. Would love to have everybody rocking it and wear it in these final 10 days. Roland, I kick it over to you to get up our Derek Johnson, who I think is next.
Yep. There you go, Khalil. We surely appreciate it. We thank former President Barack Obama for his comments, also for answering those questions. And again, those are critical issues that we have to understand that has a direct impact on African Americans and Black men in particular. Joining us right now is the president and CEO of the NAACP, Derek Johnson. He is here speaking in his personal capacity. And so, Derek, welcome.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Khalil, Quentin, Michael. Now, let's be clear. In these last 10 days, we must make the case. This election is about our ability to talk to our brothers in battleground areas to assure them that this vote is absolutely important. I turned on social media on yesterday only to see a social media celebrity encourage people not to vote. That's not acceptable. There is no scenario where we sit this one out and somehow we can make things better or we can have impact. Secondly, in a two-party system, there are no third candidate options. That's also a distraction. And if anyone who is encouraged you to vote for a third candidate option, question that individual, because in this long-term game of chess, every vote matters and we must be in the game or we will be taken out as a community. As African Americans, what has always allowed us to succeed is a community-centric approach where every individual can see their power, their agency, their ability to make change. And this is that moment, whether you're in Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Charlotte, anywhere in North Carolina, or in the state of Georgia, the Black vote will matter. It is incumbent upon us to turn it out. So thank you all for organizing in this moment, and be clear, all of the conspiracy theories, tell people the only conspiracy that's on the table is called Project 2025. There's only one candidate that's supporting it, and there's another candidate that's fighting it, and we must stand united to ensure that we have the future that we must all invest in. Peace and power.
All right, then. Derek got close to passing Jamal Bryant. He knocked it out in a minute and 34 seconds. All right, then. That's how you're supposed to do it. Derek, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Damon Hewitt, is the leader of the largest committee for civil rights under law. They've been one of the civil rights groups, legal groups out there fighting battles in the courts. He's my alpha brother. Derek Damon, come on up with welcome to the Win with Black Men call.
Well, thank you, Roland. Look, I'm here in my individual capacity as a black man, and I'm here to tell folks something that you and I know from my fraternity and so many other fraternities know as well. We know about excuses. We know what those are. Excuses are tools of incompetence. They build monuments of nothingness, and those who specialize in them or who use them seldom specialize in anything else. This is not a time for excuses. This is a time to mobilize. And so when we think about understanding what the assignment is right now, everybody says the assignment is vote, but I'm going to give you a +1. If you don't bring somebody with you to vote, if you don't have your whole family voting, if you don't have your neighborhood voting, if you don't have your community voting, then the job will not be accomplished. There will be no pat on the back for one individual. This is about what we can do as multitudes. And so anything about, well, I had to do this, I had to pick up the kids, I had to go somewhere, there's no excuses. Early voting is starting now in so many states. You heard Brother Khalil say National Early Voting Day is on Tuesday. That's when I'm going to go vote in my community. And so we have to make sure that each one can teach one and each one reach one. That's the only way we're going to get across this finish line. Do not let them win. And by them, I'm not talking even about a party or a candidate. I'm talking about the people who are trying to take away your right to vote and our ability to defend that right. Don't let them win. Make your plan, cast your vote, and make sure you bring other people too.
That's what I'm talking about, Frat. 1 minute and 29 seconds. When I tell y'all 90 seconds, y'all are abiding by the rules. Damon Hewitt, I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you so very much, Frat. Thanks a bunch. Again, folks, we've got a number of people here on the call. So I want to go to some additional folks here. Lots we want to talk about here as well. And so here joining us with Harris for President is Trey Baker. Trey Baker, let's pull Trey on up. I'm looking for him right here. We got Trey here in the green room. Please let me know. I'm looking for him. I don't see Trey. I know Trey was in the green room earlier. So if we could actually bring Trey in, some of y'all who are in the green room, folks, we want to get to you, but again, yet we got other folks who we're waiting to get to, and so please, we got to free up some room here. Let me do this here. Let me go to Michigan, Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. Lieutenant Governor, let's bring Lieutenant Governor up. Glad to have you here. Let me ask you this here. I keep saying this here. Every vote in Michigan matters, but I keep saying if Detroit votes its numbers, if Detroit hits 50, 55, 60% turnout, it is game, set, match. And so what do you tell the folks who are just still sort of waffling whether they want to vote?
Roland and my brothers and women, black men, first of all, it's good to be back with you. Thank you for standing tall for all of us across America. You know, look, everybody has a role to play to make sure we win. And black men, we have an important one. And the country, the world is dependent on us. And my message to black men, my brothers in Detroit and in all the places where black folks live across Michigan is very simple. It's that we need you. We see you, and that your power is the power that we need in order for us to win. I'm encouraging brothers to step into that power. I know that, you know, we all have a vision for the community that we want, and that we need to do everything in our power to go get that, to go make it true. And that voting needs to be a tool in our toolbox that we take to do this work so that we can win. And I've seen brothers respond to that kind of message more than anything else, saying that we need you, that we cannot win without you, and that whatever your question is, voting will help you get closer to that answer. And I know that when our brothers show up and vote, they're going to vote the right way. The overwhelming majority of them are going to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And I've been really proud to see, you know, how the campaign is stepping up investments, you know, certainly rolling. I'm spending my time, I'm doing 2, 3, 4 volunteer mobilization events every single day, moving 30, 60, 90 volunteers at a time to get people to go have these conversations that can help people make that choice to step into their power. And I've seen brothers respond in a really amazing way in these days. So I think we need to make sure that we own that narrative. I also want to share that just yesterday I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is in the southwest corner of our state, a place where we have an important Black population as well. And First Lady Michelle Obama was there, and she actually spent a lot of time during her remarks speaking directly to men about the importance of the role that we have to play in being protectors of our sisters when it comes to reproductive freedom. And in Michigan, Black men overwhelmingly voted to support a reproductive freedom ballot initiative 2 years ago. And I expect brothers are going to show up for a whole host of reasons, but she made a really compelling argument about why that was important as well. So I just appreciate that everybody's focused on Michigan, because the people of Michigan and the Black men of Michigan are part of the solution and part of the victory. We're not a problem to be solved. We are the solution and the problem solvers. And so as long as folks keep that kind of energy, that's going to motivate brothers to show up, stand tall, and to vote like our future is ours to make.
All right, then, Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist of Michigan, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much for all of your work. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Trey Baker. Trey Baker is working with the Harris for President campaign and working specifically on driving brothers to the polls. Trey, take it away.
Roland, appreciate you having us on once again. And, one, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to so many brothers who are consistently involved in this movement. Just a couple of things to say here. One, our efforts are working out here. Across the country, people are going out and early voting. We are in hundreds of churches in our Souls to the Polls program. I was speaking to a church just today in Atlanta, and the pastor asked everybody to raise their hands if they had gone and early voted, and a grand majority of the church, 90% of the folks sitting there, had raised their hands saying that they had gone out and early voted already. These calls, the Souls to the Polls programs, the small business initiatives that are going on, the economic freedom talks, the economic opportunity policy that went out, all of those things are working. But we have to pivot and make sure we continue our efforts over these last 9 days to get the vote out. And so my call to the brothers on this call is to take the next step with everything that you're doing. These calls are great. We're going to be on these calls. Brothers who are about it are going to be on these calls. We have to take that next step to go out and make sure that the disaffected voters, the people who didn't vote last time, the people who don't see themselves in some of these policies and some of these things, show them where they fit in, show them how this is for them, and bring them along with you. And so that's my call for everybody tonight. Take that next step, go out, reach a brother, reach a sister, reach someone, and bring them to the polls with you. If we do that, Kamala Harris will be president of the United States. Tim Walz will be vice president, and we can move in a new way forward. Thank you so much. Thank you to Roland. Thank you to all the brothers who are the organizers, Quentin, Bakari, Khalil, Mike Blake, the whole nine. This has been wonderful. Fourth quarter, let's push through.
All right, Trey, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Let's go to North Carolina, John Easterling III. John, you're on the clock. Welcome to the Win with Black Men call.
Brother Roland, it's so good to be here with you, and thank you again for this opportunity. North Carolina is so important to us right now. I'm actually traveling across the state, going to another event, getting ready for tomorrow. But we're seeing that importance of North Carolina. Congressional Black Caucus has done this bus tour going through those historic communities all across eastern North Carolina. Having President Obama on the call just a few moments ago, he showed us in 2008 that this state can be won by a Democrat on the national and federal ticket simply by us staying involved, staying engaged, and turning out voters, those Black voters in eastern North Carolina. So today I hit 7, 8 churches with members of the Congressional Black Caucus all throughout eastern North Carolina. And as we come down to the wire, one of the things I do know is that we don't have a lot of time left. We don't have a lot of resources left. And as a Black Baptist pastor, I'm reminded that when David went against Goliath, all he had was just a slingshot. When Moses went to the Red Sea, all he had was what he had in his hand was his rod. And so in these last few moments, Brother Roland, what we have to do, not just North Carolina, but all battleground states, with whatever little time we have left, whatever little resources we have left, we just have to do what they did, use what's in our hand, and continue to stretch it out. So thank you for this time, and I greatly appreciate it.
All right, then. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Let's go to Georgia, a crucial battleground state. And my next guest, Delulupe Olasanye. Hope I pronounced it right. Let me know if I did not. Are you there? There we go. You're on mute, Doc. You're on mute.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you to all the organizers of the call. I really appreciate y'all giving me a little bit of time. Look, in Battleground, Georgia, this is the rumble in the jungle. We're in the 15th round. Prize Fighter has done everything that they need to do, and we're just trying to execute. So 2.7 million people across the state of Georgia have already voted. That is a historic number. We are far outpacing our 2020 turnout numbers. If that holds, some 4.5 million people will cast their votes before Election Day, which is really, really incredible. I will tell you that the Republicans are voting too. They're voting early. And so, this race is ultimately going to be what I thought it was going to be when I took this job as executive director of the state party about 1.5 years ago. It's a coin flip. We expect, even if we get everything right, we're going to win by a handful of votes per precinct across the state of Georgia. So over the course of the next 9 days, we are doing everything we possibly can to make sure that we turn out every single vote. And I'll tell you exactly how I think this is going to play out here in Georgia. Over the course of the next week, as early vote shuts down here, and Friday is the last day to early vote. So if you're in Georgia and you haven't cast a vote, you have up until Friday to do that early. But if we get on the other side of Friday, I think it just becomes a turnout game. So I'm doing everything I can in my power as executive director of the party. I know we've seen a ton of activity here in the state. We've had surrogates here in and out all the time. We expect that to continue. The energy is high, and I believe we will win this race here in Georgia. And when we do that, we're going to deal a very serious blow to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and their electoral vote strategy. So I'm really grateful for everybody trying to help and do everything they can to pour into us here in Georgia. We're going to win this thing. In 2020, people counted us out. They didn't think that we could do it. We did. In 2022, they didn't think we could repeat it again. We did. Atlanta and Georgia influences everything, and we're getting ready to do it again here with your support. So brothers, please, please, please make sure that you show up to vote. Make sure that you grab somebody, 2, 3 people you love, and people you have to love. Make sure that they turn out to vote as well. And I appreciate everybody for all they're doing. Thank you, Roland.
All right. We surely appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks. Pennsylvania, another crucial battleground state. Philly, we need y'all to show up and show out again. If Black folk, if we actually hit 70% of eligible Black voters, we win. We sweep races all across the board. Our next guest knows that. Joining us is Pennsylvania State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta. Malcolm, welcome to the Win with Black Men call.
Roland, happy to be with you, and I'll just say this. Our friend Kev just said something that's important. This election is really about the people that we love, the people that we love best in the world, and the futures we know that they deserve. I mean, right now you have Donald Trump doing, I don't know if Klan rally does it justice, what he is doing right now in New York. He makes it clear every single day that not only does he not give a damn about us, but he thinks that we are so dumb and as delusional as him to not remember his record, to not understand his rhetoric and what it would mean for Black men and for the people that we love. Listen, I'm the only Black man running statewide right now in Pennsylvania, and I'll tell you, the Commonwealth is ready. Folks are ready to show up. They're ready to vote. And we're so happy to have the vice president here at a barbershop, at church, everywhere, talking about what's at stake in this election. So for these next 9 days, you just fight as hard as you love the people in your life who cannot survive, who do not need another 4 years of Donald Trump, but who do need Kamala Harris's investments in small businesses, who do need her understanding of the power of housing, who do need a leader that actually cares about us in our communities. Nobody loves Black men more than Black women. And we have a chance to show up in a bit.
All right. Looks like we had a slight signal issue there with Representative Kenyatta, but we appreciate him joining us on the call. Let's go to another crucial battleground state, Wisconsin. It is a tight race there. My next guest, Mandela Barnes, former lieutenant governor of Wisconsin. And folks, let me explain to you what it means when we turn out and vote. In 2022, 50,000 fewer, y'all can pull up Mandela, please. In 2022, 50,000 fewer people in Milwaukee voted compared to 2020. If those 50,000 folk vote in 2022, we'll be introducing Mandela Barnes right now as United States Senator because he lost by 26,000 votes. That's what people need to understand when we say every vote counts. As a result, MAGA Senator Ron Johnson, who tried to overthrow the election results, he actually won the election. And so, folks, don't play games when we talk about how every vote matters. Mandela, go right ahead.
Well, every single vote matters. My race was decided by 26,000 votes. That's 1 point here. President Biden won by 20,000 votes and Hillary Clinton lost by 30,000 votes. It is always an incredibly narrow margin here. But Kamala Harris has put together a campaign. She has been a phenomenal candidate. People respond incredibly well to her, especially in Milwaukee. But as we know, there's still hurdles that we have to overcome. There's still some folks out there that have been subject to disinformation, people who have purposely tried to poison the well, not just this campaign, but our democracy in general. And that's what Kamala Harris is fighting so hard for. And that's exactly why we are fighting so hard for her. So for everybody who's on this call, who knows that person who still may be on the fence, or that person that's just striving for attention, who feels as if they have not yet been spoken to, well, I need you as somebody who is on this call, because if you're here today, you know full well what this campaign is about. You know full well what Kamala Harris stands for. So I need you to break it down and make it plain for people. Make it as plain as day. Kamala Harris is here to help give working people a fair shot, to give people a chance, a shot that they deserve to get ahead in this country, especially as there have been factors that have kept people behind. This is our only hope in this election. If Donald Trump is to be elected one more time, I want people to think about the implications there. Think about the fact that Donald Trump has gone out of his way to incarcerate Black men, taking out a full page in the New York Times. Not once, when you hear Donald Trump talk about his plan to uplift Black people in this country, not once has he talked about a single Black person that he's hired in an executive level position. Think about his White House. Not once was there a Black man in there doing the work saying, hey, this is what our community needs, this is what our community stands for. And over the last 4 years, Kamala Harris has proven time and time again that she is ready to take on the challenge. She's also ready to take on criticism. She has listened to us when we felt things have not been right. And that's the kind of leader I want in this country. I hope that's the kind of leader you want in this country. We got 9 days to get it done. If you're in an early vote state, please go out there and vote. If you're from Wisconsin, find 3 other people to make sure they come out and vote too. Thank you so much for your time.
All right then, Mandela, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Khalil Thompson. Khalil, you want to make a comment before I go to our next guest, Kappa out of DC?
Well, I wouldn't be remiss. I'd be remiss if I didn't try to introduce my pastor, Howard John Wesley from the Alfred Street Baptist Church. Pastor Wesley, very excited and honored to have you here tonight, sir.
Okay, Roland. I ain't gonna take for so much of that, man. I ain't gonna take for so much. You know, me and Jamal gonna gang up on you now. We gonna get you. We gonna get you. But it's a joy to really join in these voices. Roland, first of all, let me congratulate you on the work you're doing to continue to get truth out there. My dad raised me as a Black man to understand that when we're true to our cause as Black men, we have a responsibility to preserve the legacy we've inherited and to protect the inheritance that we leave as our legacy. That we've inherited a lot from our forefathers, and we have an awesome opportunity to leave something for our children behind us. Here's the reality, brothers, and we all know it. Someone's going to win this election, and whoever does will control where funding is spent. They will control policies that are enacted, and they will appoint judges over us. And the truth of the matter is there's only one candidate that I believe preserves our inheritance and protects our legacy that we will leave, and making certain that policies are passed for our people, making certain that funding is appropriate and adequate, and making certain that the judges who rule over us. Listen, Donald Trump has made it clear what his policies are. We've seen where he's going to put money. We know what the judges he appoints will do against us. And I still see how any true Black man who's true and authentic to the cause, and preserving and protecting our people can vote for anyone other than Kamala Harris. This ain't about who you love or like. At the end of the day, this is about what preserves and protects what is ahead of us and preserves and protects what is behind us. And so I'm encouraging, with the only little voice I have, every brother that I know to make certain we understand what is at stake and that we can get out and cast our votes. Rolling real quick, my mother got a fur coat when she was in her 25th wedding anniversary with my dad. And I remember I was playing with that fur coat once and I pulled some of the fur out of it. Needless to say, when I woke up on the ground, my mother looked at me. I said, why would you hit me like that? She said to me, if you knew how much your father paid for this coat, you would never treat it as such. Brothers, let's remember how much was paid for us to vote, how much was paid for us to be considered equal citizens in this land, how much has been sacrificed, and let's make certain we don't disrespect the inheritance that we have and we preserve it to press on to the legacies behind us. Brothers, let's get out and do what we got to do.
All right, then. We appreciate it, Pastor. Thank you so very much, folks. Patrick Gaspard, he worked in the Obama White House, also worked a long time with SEIU. He joins us now on the Win with Black Men call. Patrick, go right ahead.
Brother Roland, it's such a thrill to be able to join you and Khalil and Blake. I can't think of any brothers I'd rather be in the trenches with. Roland, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You know that I'm an organizer. Campaigns are simple things. And for an organizer like me, this is the absolute best time in any campaign. After the conventions, after the debates, after the TikTok wars, and after the tens of millions of dollars in TV ads, it all comes down to the final knocks on the doors of our neighbors and the very next call we make to get every last soul to the damn polls. This is clutch time in the game. Brothers, let me ask you, are you all still clutch? I remember 16 years ago when we were trying to get the last yard for Barack Obama, some of you stood up and said, just give me the damn ball. We need you to take the ball for Kamala, and we need you to come up big in this biggest moment. Every speaker that's come before me, Roland, has told our brothers how close this is going to be and why their vote matters. But this is the church that says amen. We got to get out of our pews and out into the streets. But as you do that, I want to give you a little spark for the home stretch. I don't know about you all, but I'm tired of resistance politics. Remember how miserable that was for 4 years under Trump? We don't want to work to keep bad things from happening. We don't want to be playing prevent defense. As you all join me this week, when we get on the doors and barbershops in Philly, Detroit, Vegas, Atlanta, let's talk to our brothers, not about the bad things that we're trying to prevent, but the great things we all get to do if we move the ball for Kamala. Tell them we get to build new affordable homes. We get to invest in Black small businesses. We get to create an opportunity economy that centers them. We get to blow open the doors of colleges to shape the brains of the future. And we get to be the architects of equal justice under law. None of this happens if we don't get off of Zoom and get out on the doors. Let's roll.
All right. You're absolutely right, Patrick, on that one. We surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Let's go to actor Hill Harper. Of course, he made a valiant run for United States Senate in Michigan. Also, my frat brother, Hill Harper, welcome to the Win with the Black Men call.
Hey, brother Roland, how are you?
Doing great. You're live.
Thank you. Hey, so listen, fellas, I had an interesting experience recently. I just want to share this. We keep talking about getting young brothers to vote, but I was meeting with a group of young men, 18, 19, 20, here in Detroit, on the east side of Detroit, and finally convinced them. None of them were planning to vote. Finally convinced them to vote, all the things that you've heard folks talk about. And one comment blew me away when young brother said, well, am I going to be writing in the names, and how do I spell the names? And I realized we haven't even shown them a ballot, yet we just tell folks to go vote. And if you feel uncomfortable, grab these young men and walk them through the process. Walk them into the early voting location. Talk to them about what they're going to get, how they're going to be processed through the situation, filling in the bubbles, just like an SAT class. You know, these young men had never even seen a ballot, yet we keep telling them, just go vote. We got to walk them in and got to walk with them. So tomorrow here in Detroit, obviously it's early voting. I'm going to be walking a group of young men in to vote tomorrow. And then obviously Tuesdays is that early voting day. We can do this across the country, do it everywhere, but certainly it has to be that one-to-one situation. You know, with the Vice President Harris, way back 15 years ago, we were in Iowa, crisscrossing the state, trying to get then Senator Obama to win the Iowa primary. Michael Blake was driving me around that state, right? The work that you all are doing, Khalil, Blake, Roland, all of this must continue on November 6th. Win with Black men, and Black men win when we work together as a collective and we continue to fight. Whatever the result is on November 5th, this type of call, this type of Zoom needs to continue. But grab young brothers and walk them into the polls over these next 9 days. We need y'all. Love you. And let's do the work.
All right, Hill Harper, certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much, sir. Let's go to the man. If you need to get to Obama during his 8 years in the White House, you probably had to call him. He was his body man. His aide, Reggie Love. Reggie joins us right now on the Women with Black Men call. Reggie, what's happening? Let's pull up Reggie Love, please. I see Reggie, Keenan. Reggie's in the studio, so he's not in the green room. So can you pull him into the green room, please? All right. So let me know when we have Reggie. Let's go to Kevin Lyles. Is Kevin Lyles there? I saw Kevin. All right. It's who we got.
I'm here.
All right. We don't have. Okay. There we go. All right. We're pulling you up right now. Is your camera on, or we just got your audio only?
No, my camera's on.
All right. Can't see you. Not sure what's going on. But we'll figure it out. Let's see. Kevin, just go ahead and just talk. We don't have your picture. Just go ahead and talk.
Hey, Roland. Thanks, Mike, Roland, Makari, Quentin. There are strong policy reasons why I support Kamala Harris. You know, over the course of my four decades in the music business, I've been able to create hundreds of Black multimillionaires. You know, many of them went on to create their own businesses and employ hundreds of thousands of people and give them the same opportunity. You know, when I see what she's proposing to supercharge Black entrepreneurship, I get excited. And I want to push some P today, Roland, and let everybody know that I'm taking it personal. You know, I remember when my son, for the first time, saw his first Black superhero. And I'm not talking about the Black Panther. I'm talking about President Barack Obama. You know, and like some of y'all, I'm raising 3 daughters, Kayla, Gigi, and Vivi. I want them to have that same feeling, to know that as a woman in America, anything is possible. You know, I remember when my grandmother, God rest her soul, said to me, Kevin, can you believe there's a Black man in the White House? You know, here's a woman who lived in colored bathrooms, water fountains, and busing and discrimination. She got to see a small miracle in her lifetime. You know, I want us to focus on the possibilities, not the impossibilities. I want us to make sure that we know that 330 million mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, aunts, and uncles, a lot of them that look like us, will actually depend on our vote. You know, it impacts whether the stop and frisk comes. And I actually was one person who sat with my arm strapped out on Sunset Boulevard and actually had a gun to my head because of stop and frisk. You know, I need us to get off the fence, get off the bench, and make it personal. I need us to treat it like it's the last 9 days are the most important thing in our life, because it is. Let's win with Black men, and let's empower our women. Let's make a difference and make it happen. I love you guys. God bless you.
Kevin Lyles, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much. We're going to try to get Reggie Love back. He dropped. I'm seeing him there in the studio. So, guys, let me know we have Reggie. Let's go to see Sean Pittman. Sean Pittman that's Reggie Love. There we go. Reggie, go right ahead.
Hey, Roland, thank you so much, man. Thank you for all the great work you and Mike and Khalil and Quentin that you guys have been doing over the last few months here. The cast of folks who have made their voice heard, Mandela, Hill, Steve, so many great people here who basically have decided they want to fight for what they believe in. And I tell people all the time, right? Like, the fight, it's not a quarter fight, it's not a year fight, it's a lifetime fight. And we fight with our voice and we fight with our vote. It took 100 years between the end of slavery and the Voting Rights Act to be passed. It took 100 years for suffrage. It took almost 100 years to get the African American Museum built in DC. And the only way we can have these fights is we have to show up. And as President Obama mentioned, he was very diplomatic about it. And he said Donald Trump has never represented our people. But like when it comes down to it, our people have only been the people to represent our people. And we have to show up to have that representation. And so I appreciate what you guys are doing. Let's follow Patrick Gaspard's quotes. Let's be clutch. Let's go out and win right now. And let's use what's in our hands to do it. Thank you.
All right, Reggie, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, let's get Sean Pittman into the green room. I have him listed next to speak. Sean, go right ahead.
Hey, Roland, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you to Mike and to all of you guys, man. Khalil, Bakari, Quentin, certainly all that y'all are doing. And I want you to know it's working. I think you know it's working. I was in a barbershop that I go to on Sundays, and my barber actually works on Sundays, and he always has you up when you guys are doing this on Sundays. And I just applaud that, because it's the kind of thing that we need amplified, what you guys are doing. I don't listen. A lot of folks have talked and said brilliant things. I don't have anything extra to add to that, but let me say this, with the assumption that everybody here will vote. Everybody here is used to voting. Everybody here will show up to vote. Speaking to the choir, let me say this about what our role is at this point. And I think President Obama sort of alluded to it, but not enough time to engage. We have to learn how to talk to people who don't feel like they have a good reason to vote. We have to stop getting offended by it, and we have to listen to them and talk to them and not at them. My recent book called Disaffected is all about that. It's a manuscript for us to learn how to talk to people who don't vote. And as President Obama said, we got to be honest with them, and we have to concede certain things, right? We have to concede that things don't happen overnight. We have to concede that they may have a good reason for voting, because in this day and time, knowing what to trust, knowing what to believe, it's hard. It's hard even for those of us who are involved. Imagine the people who are just going about their day every single day. So let's learn how to talk to them. Let's hear them, and let's go through it in a research-based way to show them that their vote counts. Let's go through it in a data way to show them that their vote matters, and that these issues, if they decide not to vote, show them and illustrate to them that they still are having an impact on the race. Because if they don't vote, they just become potentially a secret weapon for the opposition. And in a lot of instances, that's the oppressor we've been talking about forever and ever. Thank you all for the opportunity to come on, and let's go do this.
All right. Sean Pittman, we sure appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Joining us right now, folks, a man who's got more Delta airline miles than a Delta pilot, comedian George Wallace. What's happening, George?
I feel good all over. How about you, Roland?
Doing great.
That is so wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. You're doing a wonderful job tonight. And everybody has said the right thing about voting. And I just want those people that are undecided. Everybody's been very nice tonight. I'm a comedian. I got to say this. What the hell are you undecided about? Huh? You got two people, two candidates. One's for you, one's against you. Okay, do yourself a favor. Give your mom, your sister, your daughter, your aunt, your grandmom, give them an early Christmas gift. Make sure you vote for Kamala Harris, because she's for me, she's for you. I'm probably the only guy, Roland, that really actually rode the back of the bus. I don't want to go back to doing that. We're not going back. So let's continue with success and love. Let's don't erase everything that we've gained. And let's make sure we get out there and vote for Kamala Harris. And as I'm not going to say what Snoop said, but please think about it. Just think about it. Do the right thing. We love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Thank you, Roland.
You're absolutely right. But George, I want you to give you got about 30 seconds left, a specific call out to the people and the brothers and sisters in Georgia.
Georgia, right now I'm in Atlanta. Where am I? I'm in New York City. I just got off the airplane. But Georgia, I think we're going to do it, Roland. The young men I'm meeting in Georgia, there's a few people, a few crazy people out there, you know, the Waka Flocka planes. But I want Waka Flocka to think about it. I want all of those guys there to think about it and think about who's right for you, who's more like you. Trump, there's no evidence right now Trump has ever done anything for us. Okay, he talks about the little the college fund, but nothing else. Nobody in his cabinet. I know good people. Roland, you know good people. Trump is not good people. Trump is a BSer. Why? Because that's what I do. I'm a BSer. All BSers know each other. You know, we don't know each other, but we know each other. He ain't gonna do a damn thing for you. I'm the first one to cuss tonight, but I'm just telling you the truth. Vote for Ms. Kamala Harris, and we're gonna be in a better place. God bless you. Was that 30 seconds? Because you know I can talk.
Well, sorry about that. Wes Bellamy, you're the Win with Black Men call. George, thank you so very much. I appreciate that. That was about 48 seconds, George, but it wasn't too bad. You worked out just fine. Let's go to Wes Bellamy. Hey, Wes. Wes with 100 Black Men. Wes is saying no camera. So turn your camera on, Wes, so we can get you in here.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you. Go right ahead.
There we go. Yo, what's up, man? Yo to all the good brothers. I want to start it off with that because Roland, aka the super alpha, have this into an alpha convention. I want to just say on a real serious note, man, it's been really good seeing all the brothers on here, man. But I just want to kind of maybe have a different approach. I've been on this 24 city tour with 100 Black Men called Real Men Vote, where we literally have gone to swing states across the country talking to brothers about why we need to be engaged. And I would just encourage us to think about a couple of things, man. All the comments tonight have been great. But listen, there's a lot of brothers who they need to hear from us, and not necessarily they want to see us in our shirt and ties. There's a lot of brothers who they want to talk to us, but they feel as if when we come up and we show and present ourselves a certain way, it doesn't relate to them. I was having a conversation with a rap artist last night about how he feels that a lot of the people who are coming to talk to him right now are individuals who only pop up every now and again. And what we have to do, brothers, is maybe take down the talk in regards to high-level policy and really just be real and authentic about what's at stake here. One of the things I've been saying to brothers, may be a little controversial, but I'm just being real. Hey, listen, man, if you have a situation with a young lady and for whatever reason y'all pop it off one night, and y'all make a decision and understand that we maybe have made a mistake and we don't need to take this further, and she doesn't have the right, and you all don't have the opportunity to be able to choose what to do with your body, you're going to be in a bad position. It's that simple. When we talk about brothers having interactions in unfortunate situations with the police and law enforcement, and there's one candidate who's clearly saying, yo, we're going to give law enforcement full immunity to be able to do whatever they want to do. Nobody in our communities needs to have that. And I think some of our talking points in the way in which we're speaking may be up here. And this is no disrespect to anybody. Let's make sure we get back to a level and a position in which we're talking to our brothers with our most authentic voice and making sure that they understand what's what. I'm going to be traveling the country these last 10 days or so, talking to brothers. We're going to be in Pittsburgh this Wednesday. If anybody's in Pittsburgh, 7:30, we'll have another Real Men Vote event there. But listen, man, y'all know what we got to do. But I'm just encouraging you, man. Be your most authentic self when we're talking to who we need to talk to, because those are the ones that need us the most. We're dealing with a lot of misogyny. We're dealing with a lot of brothers who maybe want to be white male adjacent. And those are the ones that we're trying to turn over and help them understand that we're running this marathon. I got this Nipsey Hussle hoodie on, all money in, no money out. And he says the marathon continues. Let's get to running. Voting is just the first point. Let's keep going. I appreciate y'all. Love.
All right, Wes, we appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, joining us on the call right now, Mondale Robinson, Black Male Voter Project, also mayor of a town in North Carolina. Mondale, what's up?
What's up, Roland? What's up, y'all? Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate this organization of Black men, those who are already probably super voters. But Black Male Voter Project speaks to the brothers who don't see themselves in the electoral politics. That is not because we are misogynistic, not because we are lazy or some pathology exists in us. It is because for 248 years, America has made us invisible. We have a wonderful vice president who's soon to be our president, and Kamala Harris, that has offered us a priority reset. And this is for the first time in the history of this country that Black men are experiencing a policy presented to us in a presidential year for us explicitly. And that is new. That invisibility has also been coupled with America's tolerance for Black men's long suffering. So I tell people all the time, stop talking at Black men like we don't know what's at stake. We are already showing you that since Donald Trump has come on the scene, Black men have become more progressive. We stand up and we show out. Don't even believe that this election can be won without Black men, and Black men are well aware of that. I don't spend time talking about the 10% of brothers who may show up like Byron Donaldson and the rest of those clowns, because I know it's enough of us that care about Black women in our community to continue to win elections like we did Georgia in 2020, like we did in Ohio in 2023 for women's right to choose, like we did in Michigan in 2022 for women's right to choose. So if you don't know that Black men are here for our community, then you don't know enough Black men. I'm Mondale Robinson. I'm a Black man in America, and I know what's at stake. So you don't need to tell me. Peace, y'all.
All right, then, Mondale, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, joining us right now, Cliff Albright. He is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Keenan, if you have their new ad ready, why don't you go ahead and run that ad, then we'll hear from Cliff.
Did you know that Trump wanted the military to actually shoot Black Lives Matter protesters? I mean,
Trump is not He let people die during COVID and then told us to drink bleach.
he tried to kill the stimulus bill and couldn't, so he delayed the money just so he could put his name on the check.
Trump ain't
He used the death penalty to execute Black men like Brandon Bernard.
He Obama's economy, lost thousands of Black jobs. He started inflation. He gave his billionaire buddy a tax cut.
America,
Trump ain't
don't vote for that man. He's nothing but.
Vote Kamala Harris for president.
All right, Cliff, go right ahead.
What's up, Roland? Hey, I'm gonna make it quick. I'm so glad that that Wes was on here just a second ago talking to our brothers in our authentic voice. I don't know how to get no more authentic than to say Trump ain't shit, right? But it's not just about that. It's also about letting folks know why he ain't shit. And so I agree with my brother Mondale, who was just on here talking about that 10% that's out there. They in a sunken place. Like, there ain't going to be too much that we could do with them. They've been voting Republican for 30, 40 years, right? Then we got the 80%. That's all of us on here that we know is with Kamala. We know is going to do the right thing, that we know be on these calls every week, right? And then we got that 10% that's in the middle. That's where the sweet spot is at. That's where we got to do the work. That's where we got to have these conversations. And part of what I want us to do is be able to have the tools to have those conversations. So we got not just that video, we got 4 other videos that we got. You can check out our website, bvmactionpack.org, bvmactionpack.org. You see, I got on our shirt right here. You can go to our YouTube page at BVM Action Pack. Get those videos. We got 5 on there. Guess what? Show one of those to 10 of your friends that you know need it. Show one of those each day for the next 5 days. And when those 5 days are up, guess what? Go back and do it again, because we got 10 days left. So you go through 2 rounds of sharing those videos and having some conversations, and then get with us if you need any other tools to have these conversations. The 80% got to work the 10% so that we can overcome the other 10%. Let's do it, y'all.
Cliff, we appreciate it. The way to go to speak in 1 minute, 25 seconds. You 5 seconds under your allotted time. That's what I'm talking about. Cliff, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Terrence Green joins us right now. Pull up Terrence Green, please.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? 10 days out. My name is Terrence Green. I do Black Community Media with the Harris campaign, and it's great to see everyone getting together in this final stretch to support Kamala Harris. We have been listening, and we have heard what we need to do to speak with our own folks to get us engaged and energized. We need to let people know that we want them here. We need to let Black men know that they are welcome here and an important part of the coalition. So that's why we put out a plan. And we wanted to make sure that people understand that there is something specific and concrete here for you. And that's showing up in the advertising as well. We want to make sure that there's also no daylight between the support that Black women have for Kamala Harris or Black men. So some of the messaging that we're putting out there, specifically in markets like Philadelphia and Detroit, with local voices, are putting us with our full throat and chest out there saying, yes, we support this woman. We're behind her, and we'll do everything that we can to make sure she's our next president. They're trying to divide us on the airwaves with a lot of anti-immigrant stuff, anti-trans stuff, but we're smarter than that. We're not going to let this stuff take us away from the message that we need to get out there and the goal and mission of getting Kamala Harris elected our next president. That's what they think of us, so low that they would use these sorts of things to take us away from what it is that we got to actually do for ourselves. So we're informed, we're engaged, and ready to make Kamala Harris our next president. Thank you for your time today.
All right, Terrence, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, right now, let's go to John Taylor. John Taylor, he is with Black Men Build. John, go right ahead. John Taylor with Black Men, the Black Male Initiative. John, turn your camera on. Your camera's not on, John. All right, while John is getting in place, let's go to Chris Jones. Is Chris Jones there? Chris Jones is with Black Male Rural Voters. Chris? And if Chris is not ready, let's go to Ambrose Lane, Black Men for Harris. Ambrose Lane. All right, who we got?
Thank you, Brother Roland. Thank you, Khalil and the team, Women with Black Men. I'm so grateful to be able to speak to you. Yes, we are doing everything we can to get the vote out, doing souls to the polls, car rides to the polls. We're trying to do everything we can and support Women with Black Men and their trips to Pennsylvania. But one thing I want to just note to all the brothers, we're also working, we're grateful that the Harris campaign came up with an agenda for Black men, but we also know that that's number one, it was historic for her to do that. But number two, we also know that it's a conversation starter. We know that there are some things that we still have to work on in terms of issues facing Black men. Black Men for Harris, I'm the founder of Black Men for Harris, and we are working on an expanded agenda to build on the agenda that Kamala Harris started, but also to expand that agenda, for example, to include returning citizens, also to include Black men who are living in poverty or are the working poor. So we're looking to expand that conversation. And lastly, I would say one of the things that we've been talking about on our calls is after November 5th. We believe that Kamala Harris is going to win. We are working to make sure that she does win, but there's an after November 5th. And we want to build and continue to build. I mean, I know that when Barack Obama won, we kind of laid back. We kind of fell asleep. We were happy, ecstatic that a Black man won, but we kind of laid back. We can't do that this time. We have to push and have these conversations with other Black men. So if you have Black men that are saying they're going to vote for Trump and they're misguided, whether or not that's because of misinformation or other, we have to have these conversations with these brothers, and that has to start. That doesn't start now. That starts after November 5th, because the midterms are coming. They're going to be here quickly, and we got to prepare for the midterm. So we have to talk to our brothers in communities. We have to guide. We have to provide information, provide truth. And so when the midterms come, we're ready. So we so that there's not a significant segment of Black men who are going to sit out or who are going to sit at home or going to wait for the next election. So we got to begin this process now. So I just wanted to make sure that we are going to move forward with Win with Black Men, with Black Men Vote, with Kairos, with the collective, on coming up with an agenda, an expanded agenda, a Black man's agenda that will include some of the things. So I appreciate it, Roland.
All right.
Appreciate it, brothers. Have a great day.
All right, Ambrose, certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Do we have John Taylor or Chris there? Do we have John or Chris? Who do we have?
Hey.
Go right ahead.
All right, Roland, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Khalil. Appreciate you, Bakari, all of you all and Mike Blake. Look, I'm I'm a co-chair, national co-chair of Dirt Road Democrats. I'm also with Rural Americans for Harris. We are out here fighting for rural Black men, and they are showing up. This race is going to be close. And because the race is going to be close, rural voters matter. We project about 40% of the electorate this year will be rural, and about a third of people of color are in rural areas. So rural areas matter for stopping Project 2025 at the state level. And when we speak to rural Black men, we're talking about building houses in rural areas because of the lack of housing availability and affordability. Forgivable loans, entrepreneurship. Black farmers are excited because they know that Harris will continue to fight for money for them, and they know what Trump did, which fought against them. And I'll tell you, I'm a girl dad. I have 3 daughters, Jordan, Janelle, and Jasmine. And there are a lot of rural Black men who are girl dads, and they know what it would mean to live under a Donald Trump. So they want their girls to live under a VP Harris administration. Last thing I'll say is that engagement matters, and Wendell Pierce and Win with Black Men showed up because it's not only about swing states. We have to focus there. It's also swing districts. And with those swing districts, they showed up in West Memphis. They fought against the MAGA Republican Party, was trying to eliminate early voting, and we won. And because of that, we set record turnout on the first 2 days of voting in West Memphis, and we're going to get Rodney Govins into Congress, Jesse Magruder into the House, Lincoln Barnett in the State House. We're going to do this, y'all.
All right, then. We appreciate it. Thank you so very much, Chris. Let's go to John Taylor with Black Men Bill. John, you there?
I'm here. How we doing this evening, Brother Roland?
Great. Go right ahead.
All right. First of all, let me give a blue 5 to all the brothers of Phi Beta Sigma. It takes a little while, but we get there. And to the rest of y'all. So we're clear. In Georgia, on the ground, brothers are in motion, but it's not just in Georgia. I've heard a lot on this call tonight and on each of these calls about what brothers need to do. And I just want to be clear about what brothers are doing. With our organizations and our network on Black Male Initiative, we have knocked over 935,000 doors, attempted conversations during this cycle, and had over 195,000 conversations. So when we listen to pollsters and we believe the hype, we might think we're losing. It may be neck and neck, but it's not neck out. Out of those 195,000 conversations that we've had, we're clear about the fact that about 82% of the people that we've talked to, ages 18 to 35, folks that they consider low propensity, infrequent, that we know are low investment, are supporting a progressive agenda. We understand that the gap that they're concerned about is being cleared on the ground every day. And most importantly, I want to say thank you to the brothers that are standing in the way, that are out there every day, that are having these conversations. So we're coming with a very clear message at Black Male Initiative. Don't believe the hype, believe the heat. Believe what you see on the ground. Believe what brothers are telling you. Believe what brothers are showing you. Don't believe what they say about us. And there should never be a conversation about us without us. So believe that you have to be part of it because we want you in it. Thank you, Brother Roland.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much, John. Thanks a bunch. Let's now go to, give me 1 second. Let's go to get a better route update from Georgia. Theron Johnson, go right ahead. Is Theron there? Theron, you're up. He dropped. Let's go to Alex Lofton. Alex Lofton. Alex, give us an update out of Michigan.
Update out of Michigan. Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me on. 1.5 million voters have voted already here in Michigan. About a quarter of them, that's kind of a quarter of total voters. And we believe about 1/3 of them are voters for us here in Michigan. There's been 2 ways for people to get voting already. Vote by mail, in-person voting. So far, vote by mail returns lower than 2020 to be understandable because of COVID. But Wayne, Genesee County, Detroit, Flint, These are places that are looking better than returns in the overall state. So a lot of great momentum here. In-person early voting started across the state yesterday, started in Detroit last week. And since then, about 12,000 Detroiters have voted in person, and 150,000 yesterday voted in person early. So we're waiting on data on exactly who voted there, but we're feeling pretty optimistic. At the doors, I got to do some door knocking this weekend in Detroit, and Black men in particular, understandably, a lot of skepticism, ambivalence, but they just need to have more folks at the door who can really connect and aren't some sort of semi-retired person from California, but somebody who can actually connect more deeply. Voter intimidation has already started. Mainly so far, the reports of that has been outside of Detroit, in more rural areas or suburban areas. But we're going to keep monitoring that and see if that picks up. And we need help. We need your help to come win. I'm going to put it in the chat right after this. A couple of ways you can get involved: signing up to volunteer with us and knock on some doors. Also, voter protection is going to be a really big thing here. So we're feeling fired up, ready to go. But we got a lot of work, and we need all the help we can get. So come on out and help us out.
All right, then. We appreciate that so very much. Let's go back. Let's go to Georgia. Theron looks like he's got his camera ready. Theron, you there?
Yeah, it's Darren. How you doing, Roland?
Darren, go right ahead.
Hey guys, thank you all so much for being on this call. Very honored to be able to pop in with all these great men and organizers from all across the U.S. But in the state of Georgia, we're fired up and ready to go. So can be more proud of this team that we have. Since the inception of this campaign, when it was Biden Harris, we didn't stop working. We've been building a very strong infrastructure. Then, of course, when Vice President Harris became the nominee, we got right to work. And so we're talking about immediately getting about 40,000 volunteers. We have 32 offices across the state that are open, roughly about 220 paid workers. And, of course, you guys have seen it all on television. We've been having some packed out rallies. The Vice President was just in DeKalb County, which is a very strong county in Georgia, the most Democratic county. Performing-wise in Georgia, with former President Barack Obama, Tyler Perry, Samuel Jackson, Raphael Warnock, Senator Ossoff, Spike Lee, you name it. All these people were there speaking. And so we're really fired up in this state and ready to go. Now, we've had some challenges. You guys are all probably seeing that we have a state board of elections that tried to really put forth some rules at the very last minute to try to change how we elect people in this state. And so fortunately, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down those proposals, but we got a big voter protection team here in Georgia ready to go. The last thing I would tell you is that early voting, we had a record number of people who came out and voted on the first day early voting. We almost quadrupled the size of people who voted back in 2020. And as we're on this call tonight, we've had 2.8 million people vote in Georgia right now, and we're about 1% over where we were last time in 2020. So we're talking about in metro areas like Atlanta, but also down in Savannah, Georgia, up in Rome, Georgia, over in Columbus, Georgia. We're seeing a very, very big number of early votes, and it's a lot of women who are voting. And based on polling and focus groups that we've all been a part of, women are definitely fired up. But more importantly, I'm very proud of the Black men who have stepped up, including myself, who are on the airways every day in their chats, in their barbershops, in their churches. We just had a bunch of homecomings in Georgia, HBCU homecomings, PWI homecomings, and so definitely the Harris Walls campaign is doing a phenomenal job. But as the gentleman just said before, we need your help. Please come to Georgia. We are a battleground state. We're going to win. I was very fortunate to be on the Biden-Harris campaign back in 2020, and I'm seeing striking similarities of how good we're trending in these last days, not just with enthusiasm and money, but with people showing up to these rallies. Neighborhoods are getting more involved, and so I definitely think that we're going to exceed the number of early votes and absentee voting. We're paying very close attention to that, but we're very fired up in Georgia, and come join us, y'all, in this movement.
All right, then. Theron, we appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Let's now go to, let's see here, North Carolina. Let's go to Mayor Leonardo Williams. Mayor Williams, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Frat? It's good to see everybody again tonight. You know, I've heard a lot on the call tonight, man, and I think since the last time I've spoken, I've gotten a little bit more frustrated, um, only because I feel like there are forces out there trying to make us a composite. And I talked about an article that came out last time, but we actually found that article was from the John Locke Foundation talking about Black people are just not voting, when in fact, as Quentin said, we have the data. You know, but I wanted to go take a different angle tonight. You know, as a mayor and a Bloomberg fellow, we are heavily involved with mayors around the world. And the mayor of Freiburg, Germany, said, you know, Leo, we are relying on you guys in the United States for world stability. You know, and as a Black man, I feel I have a stake in that. But it was the people from Ukraine that I just met in Mexico City just last week that said, you know, if Trump wins, then when I go back home, I die because there's no way we're going to survive this war. And I just want you all to think about putting your death date on a calendar. That was heavy, you know. So we have our issues that we need to focus on here internally, but we really do need to turn out because if we don't, we have world issues to deal with as well. You know, so the responsibility is bigger than just us right here. The world is literally relying on us tomorrow. And just to make sure we're not a composite, tomorrow, I'm actually going to go and visit the young men of color at the Durham Nativity School right here in Durham, North Carolina. And we're going to talk about the importance of voting. But then I'm going to walk with them to the public library to see people voting so that they can become entrenched in this culture of civic engagement and understand it as their civic obligation so that they can ensure that their families are voting, but also when they're of age, they're doing their part. So get uncomfortable, talk to folks that you are uncomfortable talking to about voting, get your brothers out there. We have a bigger responsibility, started with us, but literally the world is relying on us. Appreciate you, man.
All right, then. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. With Reverend Amos Brown, whoever's with him, please turn on his camera. Please turn on his camera so we can have him up. So please let me know when he is ready, please. Thank you so very much. Let's talk about the Southern states. Mike Bland. Mike Bland, you there? Mike Bland? Who we got, folks?
Hey, I'm here. How you doing, Brother Martin?
There we go. Go right ahead.
Man, look, we are 9 days away from victory. I just want to encourage all of our brothers to tag another brother. I heard the good brother from the Urban League say earlier, Mark Mariel, that we have to contact 5 other people. And I've been saying that for the past 8 weeks. We've got to get in touch. We got to tap into our top 5. Who are the top 5 brothers we can touch across our phones, our networks that we haven't talked to in a long time. But Brother Martin, I'm excited because, you know, one of the things during the campaign, we're excited to announce this weekend, we probably had our biggest faith weekend, if you will. This past weekend, we were in over 100 churches across the country with over 100 different surrogates. We just got finished up with a faith call this evening with the vice president. And we had a great call with faith leaders around the country, not only talk about our faith, but praying over the vice president, praying for the results that we want to see. But we are reminded faith without works has no substance. But I'm reminded of a call to action. This is what I need everybody to do. Go to KamalaHarris.com, sign up to volunteer. And I know some of us may think, hey, I'm not knocking on the door. I'm not making any phone calls. But we've got to do something. This race, and we've heard everybody say, Brother Martin, is going to be tight. It is going to be tight as a tick. I mean, it is going to come down to probably tens of thousands of votes in our battlegrounds. But Black men will make up the difference. And I'll say this as a point of privilege, and maybe I'll get some pushback later on. Folks are looking to cast the blame already. Okay. They're looking to cast the blame, whether it be on Black men, younger Black men, the young folks, the older folks. But this narrative that Black men do not vote, we have to decimate that narrative. We have to encourage each other. We have to give each other the facts to get out to vote. And we have to organize beyond our churches, beyond our 4 walls, beyond our organizations. I belong to one of the best and oldest organizations as a Prince Hall Freemason, South of Heaven, right? But one of the things, as a brother said earlier, is We have to encourage every single brother, not only in our church, but our fraternities, our auxiliary groups, to vote. And then to take 5 other people to vote. But so when you have a voting plan, Brother Martin, we also have to have a volunteering plan. So go to KamalaHarris.com, sign up to volunteer in one of our battleground states, get on the bus, knock on some doors, do whatever you got to do to encourage brothers and sisters around this country got to vote, because it's going to be that tight.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Khalil, who do we have next, Khalil?
Nick. Nick is next.
Nick, is Nick there?
Okay, Nick is. I will get Nick on the phone. Let's
do this here. Keenan, while we are getting Nick on the phone and getting a couple more of our guests, this is what Sam Jackson had to say at the rally this week for Vice President Kamala Harris in Atlanta. Can we roll that?
Woo, woo, let's get it. All right. They say you can always tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much. But you can trust a Morehouse man to tell you the truth. Georgia, here's what we have to say to those who would doubt our voice, doubt our power, doubt our vote. This part is over. Like my brother Spike's gonna tell you, we've been turning out, we've been turning up, but we can't stop now. Georgia, we got 12 days to choose which way our country is going to go from here, which way our future is going to go from here. That's why I'm so fired up to be here with y'all. And that's why I'm so proud to support our next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. You don't have to wait till election day to show your support. You can go vote early right now in any polling place in your county. Showing up at the polls is the only way we can deliver Kamala Harris' future. She's running on a vision to lead our country forward. A vision built on hope, built on faith, and built on opportunity. Built on the belief that we can build a brighter future by lifting each other up and not tearing each other down. She's running on a proven track record of fighting for the people, standing up to bullies, protecting the most vulnerable, and taking on the toughest fights. And we've heard her favorite curse word is a favorite of mine too. But I ain't gonna say that word. But I don't know about you, but that's the kind of president I can stand behind. That's the kind of president I can see leading our country forward. Now, as for the unmentionable, we've seen that horror show before. And there's no way, no how we gonna make America great again. We are not going back. That's right. That's right. We're not going back. We're not going back. Oh, yeah. So, Georgia, we can't let up. We got 12 days to run through the tape. We got to knock on doors. We got to make some calls. We got to get our families, our friends, our neighbors' neighbors to turn out, to turn up and turn out. But most of all, we got to show them all our vote is our voice. Our voice is our power. And our power is how we win. Thank you. We are not going back. You damn right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, folks. That was Sam Jackson this week at the Kamala Harris rally in Atlanta. Nick, joining us out of Wisconsin. Nick, give us an update of what's happening on the ground in Wisconsin. Let's bring Nick up, please. Nick, there you go.
Hey, Roland. Thank you so much for having me on. Hey, everyone. Nick Truog, political director here in the great state of Wisconsin. This evening has been inspirational, hearing from so many powerful Black men just across the country and across the nation. And we're all putting in work to deliver to Wisconsin. As we head into the final week and weekend to Election Day next week, it's all hands on deck. And we have seen the case against Donald Trump, but we also seen what an agenda for Black men looks like under a Kamala Harris administration, and it's something that I believe in. And this is a time to really change the political landscape for us in our communities. And this is an opportunity we cannot let slip from our fingers. Here in Wisconsin, we are out here full steam ahead, knocking doors, making phone calls, early vote block parties to mobilize voters across the state and Black voters across the state as well. This past week, we had really exciting block parties to get folks to early vote in the community, from Clyn Rose Park in the Central City in Milwaukee to Racine, Wisconsin, where we had over 100 Black voters come out for a block party and then went to go early vote across the street at the community center. This week, we're going to be having a lot of national surrogates come, Black men focused events, Souls to the Polls engagements, thanks to all of the great surrogates and our in-state leaders who are going to churches, talking to voters, meeting voters where they're at, in the barbershops and across the board. Wisconsin, every state will talk about this, but in 2016, I will never forget. I was a fellow and volunteering on Hillary Clinton's campaign. I was in school, and I spent so much time. I even skipped some class knocking doors because I did not want the result to be what it was. And as I go through this campaign, I can't help but think about my little sister Abby, who when Hillary lost, I was thinking about how important it is to see for women to have the opportunity in this country, to make sure that their rights are protected, to make sure our community's rights are protected. And I feel the stakes are way more higher now. And I'm the only man in my family, and I know it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm protecting my family. And we heard that a lot on this call today. So I'm calling upon all of you to really get involved. I'm really encouraging you all to sign up to volunteer. Come to Wisconsin, knock doors in Milwaukee, Racine, and Kenosha this upcoming weekend. If you're in Chicago, take the drive up, take the Hiawatha up. Volunteer with us, knock some doors, do some phone calls. Everything is at stake, and it's our responsibility to protect the ones that we love and make sure that they have the rights that they deserve and be treated as equals in this country. And that is something that's very important to me. So we have a lot going on right now. We're knocking a lot of doors. We're getting out the vote. So by any means necessary, we need to make sure that we're getting folks out to vote and motivating our folks. So thank you so much, Roland, for having me. Thank you to every leader on this campaign. Thank you to every volunteer. Thank you to every elected official, pastor, community leader, mentor. This is a community. This is a movement, and together we're going to make sure that Vice President Harris is elected in less than 10 days. So thank you so much for me.
Nick, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Let's go to Reverend Nelson Rivers III. Reverend Nelson Rivers.
Hey, Roland.
Oh, you're live. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm Reverend Nelson B. Rivers III, Vice President of Religious Affairs for the National Action Network, right here in South Carolina. Thank you for all your work. Thank you so much. Reverend Nelson B. Rivers III, Vice President. We're doing the best we can all over the country. Reverend Sharpton is on the road. He'll be in Arizona and Nevada this week. We'll be with him as well during this time. I've heard a lot of talk tonight about the plight of our community, what black men are going to do. But I have had the experience in talking to clergy and talking to young brothers around. They just want somebody to be able to explain it to them, why this is so important. I tell them like this, we are the first generation that's in danger of having our children have less rights than we did. I've been at this a long time. I'm going to my 40 plus years. And every time we've had rights given or won for our children until we come to this. And so this is important. Don't let anybody lie to you. Democracy is at stake. Our vote is at stake, and our very lives are at stake. That's not hyperbole. That's just real. They told you who they are. Believe them when they tell you. So thank you for your work. Thank you for all that's been done, going to be done. We're going to turn out this vote in both South Carolina and around the country. The question will be, will we sit on the sideline and let it happen to us when we can make sure it happens for us? Thank you so much.
All right, Reverend Nelson Rivers, I appreciate that. That 1 minute, 19 seconds. Look at that. Preachers are handling the time tonight. All right. Thank you so very much.
Bless you, bro.
Thank you. Do we have, let's see, we do not have Amos Brown. So let's do this here. Guys, we're going to make one more attempt to get Reverend Amos Brown, get his camera or audio straight. He, of course, is the pastor of Vice President Kamala Harris. Keenan, let's roll with Spike Lee's comments. No, let's do the BET promo. I haven't seen it, but let's roll with that. Go right ahead.
I am D.L. Hughley. With so much at stake this November, there is a lot to discuss.
We want a seat at the table.
Join me as I talk with special invited guests for deep and honest discussion with the brothers.
I don't feel either of them really represent what I'm looking for.
To hear their thoughts, their feelings, and what issues matter to them in the upcoming election.
This election is not about the two people running, it is about our future.
Join us for BET Black Men Summit.
Tuesday at 10 on BET.
All right, then. Appreciate that. Let me know if we got Reverend Amos Brown. This roll with Spike Lee. This is what Spike had to say this week in Atlanta.
What's up, George? How you doing? It always feels good to come home. I'm a Grady baby. Born right here, March 20th, 1957 in Atlanta. I'm a third generation Spelman Morehouse legacy. And it's homecoming. Power is knowing your past. And right now, we're 12 days out from the most pivotal election of our times. There's nowhere else, even Madison Square Garden. I'd rather be here tonight or Yankee Stadium. We're in the World Series. Because let me tell you, Georgia is where our future is being written. No joke. Georgia, you've been showing up and showing out. Smash into smithereens. Every voter records left and right. Turn it out in full force. Now, you gotta listen to science. I'm dropping science right here. No matter what kind of shenanigans, skullduggery, and subterfuge, the okey doke, the flim flam, we're not going for that. Are we going for that? Hell no! One more time. One more. Hell to the die! It's coming, it's coming. But you know what, Georgia? We ain't done yet. We've got 12 days. That's a dozen. And we don't have a second to lose. Now, if we want to move forward, not backward, now we want to fight for the one candidate in this election who's fighting for us. Now we stand with the one candidate who's standing up for us. Now we raise our voice for the one who's speaking up for us. Our sister Kamala Harris, the VP. Now what are we going to do? Almost done. And look, I don't even have to ask Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? You already know what time it is. That we don't have a moment to lose. We want to stop that other guy. I don't call him by his name. I call him Agent Orange. You dig? Sure enough, we cannot be hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray. Now you know where that's from. Power is knowing your past, and to know our past is power. And sisters and brothers, right now it's time to choose direction we want for the future. We get to decide. So we gotta wake up. We gotta open our eyes to what's at stake. And to quote Parliament Funkadelic, we gotta turn this mother out. Now you know about P-Funk. We have to approach this like everything is on the line. I'm not exaggerating. This is a life and death situation. We gotta wake up. You can't hear me. I'm not starting over. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for coming out. You look beautiful from here. Sisters and brothers, all races, gender, we have to fight. We fight, we win, we fight, we fight, we fight, we fight. Sure enough.
All right, that was Spike Lee at the rally in Atlanta this week. Let's see here. I think we finally have Reverend Amos Brown. Reverend Brown, are you there?
Brother Roland, I am here.
There you go.
To all the brothers on the call, I just simply want to say with 10, we can win. Each of us has at least 10 persons in our network. And if we would call 10 more, geometrically, our numbers will multiply. And we will have the sufficient number to send 45 where he belongs, to rest and never to bother us again. He does not epitomize anything that represents humanity, decency, fairness, justice, and respect for us as African Americans. Come on, brothers. We can do it. And as Daddy King would say, never give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your families, your church, and your community. For when we stick together, we can win. Reverend George Washington Lee, on May the 7th, 1955, was murdered in Belzona, Mississippi, because he wouldn't take his name and his wife's name off of the voting roll in Humphreys County, Mississippi. Swerna, Goodman, and Cheney gave up their lives for the right to vote for many blacks in the Mississippi Delta. Don't trample, don't spit on their graves. Let us do the right thing and vote on November the 5th.
All right. Reverend Amos Brown, my alpha brother. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Closing comments. I'll start with you, Mike Blake. Mike?
Yeah, brother. Everybody, you've heard it. Let's be clear. You got inspired by a former president. You're hearing the direction and
Don't think your camera's on, Mike. But keep talking.
I can see it here.
Okay. Your camera froze. Just keep talking.
So everybody, we got work to do. We have 9 days. So again, we put it in the chat. We need for you to be volunteering. We need for you to be making phone calls. We need for you to do the work right now. So again, we're going to put it in the chat again. At the end of the day, phone calls, knocking on doors, voter protection, over and over again. You do that, we'll bring this home. Roland, thank you, brother.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Khalil.
I couldn't say it better than my brothers. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Bakari. Thank you, Quentin. Thank you to the phalanx of men who have come before me and before us, the shoulders who we stand upon, whether it's Goodwin and Cheney, whether it's Medgar Evers, whether it's Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, whether it's Malcolm X. The names can go on and on. Those that have lost their lives too soon. Whether it is Oswald Thompson, Hakeem, Ater, and others who are with us, we want to take in this power of tonight and really lean into the work that we're doing. So we ask each and every one of you, go to winwithblackmen.org tonight. We would love it if you could make a contribution to continue in the fight and the work that we're doing. But more importantly, we would really appreciate if you could sign up to get on a bus and go knock on some doors. Do some good community organizing. Like my president 44 said earlier, and sign on to get on a bus, whether it's from DC to Pennsylvania, South Carolina to Georgia, Virginia to North Carolina, or Chicago to Wisconsin and going to Milwaukee. And then on Tuesday, National Early Vote Day. It's our day of action here at Win with Black Men, as well as we're partnering with Collective PAC, Kairos Democracy Project, and others to get out the vote on National Early Vote Day, doing every single thing we can. I talk about my amazing 7-year-old CEO. It is almost 9:30, so I hope she is in bed. But I hope that we don't wake up on November 6th and have to worry if we didn't do everything that we could. So again, go to winwithblackmen.org, sign up to get on the bus, sign up to be a state captain, contribute what you can, and let's continue this work. Not only on November 5th, but we're going to start doing our work and holding accountability for whoever sits at 1600 Black Lives Matter Way. And the work is going to continue from there. So thank you, Roland, and thank you everyone who joined tonight.
All right, Khalil, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Hey, folks, tomorrow there is going to be a call taking place with business leaders, the Black Economic Alliance. The question is, what do Black men want? Wealth, wellness in the 2024 election taking place tomorrow, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. You see where you can RSVP. These are some of the speakers who are going to be there. I'm going to be hosting this call, again, taking place from 8 to 9 tomorrow. So we look forward to that call. You saw the BET promo, the D.L. Hughley hosted BET special is going to be airing on Tuesday night as well. I'm going to be, of course, in D.C. covering the vice president's speech at the Ellipsis, the same place Donald Trump led the insurrection on January 6, 2021. So look for us to cover that on the Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. Of course, we'll be live 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And so please download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV as well. All right, folks, we're going to close this out. First of all, let me thank everybody for being here. President Barack Obama, all of the speakers, Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, all of the mayors, all of the civil rights leaders, everybody who's on the call today. We certainly appreciate the input from every person here. So we're going to close this thing out. He gave a hell of a speech in Atlanta and spoke truth to power. And so, folks, Tyler Perry is going to take us home with his endorsement and his powerful, powerful speech about Vice President Kamala Harris. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Black Star Network. Tyler, take it away.
Hello, Georgia. Hello, hello, hello. I got to tell you, I've been a resident here for a little more than 30 years, so I know a few things about Georgia. What I want to share with you today is that this is where I found the American dream for myself. And lately I found myself having my feet in two different worlds. One where I'm talking to very wealthy people at their table, and then I come to work and I'm talking to people who work for me about everyday problems and everyday issues. So it puts me in a very, very peculiar spot to be able to talk to you. And I'm grateful for that, having my feet in both those worlds, because I still remember what it was like to stand at the Winn-Dixie on Buford Highway and have $20 and try to figure out how do I make this meal work for the week. I know what it's like to have my landlord knocking at the door and I'm in the bed hiding because I don't want him to knock on the door because I know he has an eviction notice. I know what it's like to be homeless here in Georgia. I know what it's like to have to scrape up enough money to get to stay at a pay-by-the-week hotel off of Buford Highway. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to sleep in my car wrapped in my grandmother's quilt because I had no place to go. I know what it's like to come from work and walk outside and realize that my car has been repossessed. So make no mistake, I know and I remember how hard it is, and I remember the struggle, and I also know, hear me, how expensive it is to be poor. But I also believed in an American dream. And when I was coming here to Georgia, I was looking for inspiration, and there was this show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And there was a man on there that I really admired, I looked up to. He had a helicopter, and his name was on hotels all over the place. He was, hold on just a second, let me get through this so you hear what I'm saying. Young black men admired him because his name was in rap lyrics. So when I first started making a little money, the first thing I did was checked into the Trump Hotel because I wanted to feel that specialness. But then I started to do my research. Research is important. Truth is important. Facts are important. I found out about a discrimination lawsuit against he and his father because they didn't want people like me in their building. I found out about him taking a full-page ad out on young black men in the New York Times. I found out about the birther lie. We all heard it, saying that Barack Obama was not born in this country. There are undertones there and there are echoes there that we all had to pay attention to. So I watched him when he won the presidency. I watched him say that there were good people on both sides when neo-Nazis were screaming, "Jews will not replace us." I watched him from the Central Park 5 to Project 2025. And what I realized is that in this Donald Trump America, there is no dream that looks like me. We want a president who believes that this American dream is for everyone. And that president is Kamala Harris. We want a president that understands, like I did in Georgia. When I came here, I didn't have anything, but I had a dream. So I worked, and against all odds, I worked my way to where I am now. It was here in Georgia. See, in Georgia, you know what we do? We don't sit around and complaining. We go to work. It was here where I became a studio owner. My first studio was on Cross Street. Now that is Cross Street Market. And then I bought another studio, which was on Greenbrier, right near Greenbrier Mall on Continental Colony Parkway. And it was there that Barack Obama came in 2012 to do a fundraiser. And he was getting ready to leave, and he said, "Come ride with me. We're going to my house for a fundraiser." And I'm like, "Wait, you want me to ride with you and the Beast?" So I get in the car, and traffic is stopped, and we're riding, and he's talking to me. And for those of you who are old enough to remember Charlie Brown, all I heard was wah, 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 wah. I finally said, "I'm sorry, Mr. President, but I haven't heard a word you said because I'm in awe of this country. What a great country that you could become president of the United States." And he turned to me quick as a flash and he said, "Yes, but what a great country that you could become Tyler Perry." From that moment, I went and I bought a bigger studio. I bought Fort McPherson Army Base. Right now, where we hire thousands of people are coming through that doors. And I don't care what was stacked up against me. I don't care. I didn't pay attention to that. What I paid attention to was, how do I help somebody? I broke through that door, laid it down on its side, and let it become a ramp so that somebody else can get higher too. You want to hear something about an American dream? Fort McPherson was once a Confederate Army base where there were Confederate soldiers trying to plot and plan on how to keep 3.9 million Negroes enslaved. Now that land is owned by me. Let's talk about an American dream. It's seniors working so hard and working hard and working, seniors working hard. And what I realized when I bought it, that seniors around, their taxes were going through the roof. So what I did was, I was like, no, you're not gonna come here and take these seniors' houses. I paid everybody's taxes up for years so that they can keep their houses. When an 85-year-old woman in Coweta County lost her house to a fire and wanted a place for all her grandkids, I rebuilt that house for her. Most recently, I saw in the AJC a story where there was a woman who hired this contractor and he gutted her house and left her there with nothing. She was living in a house with no plumbing and no walls for years. I rebuilt that house for her. Why am I telling you this? I'm not telling you this to be bragging. What I'm telling you about it is, what I want you to understand is I have compassion for our seniors. So when a candidate says that we have lowered the cost of insulin to $35 for seniors, that candidate has my vote. I put many kids through college, and recently there was a woman who was murdered by her husband, and she had 3 kids that were of college age. I put all those kids through college. So when I hear a candidate say, we are going to do what we can to reduce student loan debt, that is a candidate that I can stand with. I stand with a candidate who has an American dream for everyone. She stands with us. And she has an American dream for our children. And let me tell you something about the children. I don't know if you remember, but her DNC speech was great, right? But there's a moment that you may have missed. When the cameras were rolling and she was walking around and the balloons are falling and confetti's falling, I'm watching her smile and wave. Her family comes out, but there are 2 little girls on the stage. And I see her constantly making sure they're okay, not getting too close to the edge. That's what you want. See, the little things will tell you about the heart of a person. In that speech, she talked about how we have more in common than what separates us. So, Georgia, I want to put that to the test. I didn't have a father who gave me millions of dollars to start a business. Did you? Didn't think so. My mother didn't have some great legacy, but she taught me how to pray my way through a situation. It sounds like we have that in common. I'm the kind of American that believes in a secure border, but at the same time believes that if anyone is coming seeking legal asylum, our arms should be open to them. I'm the kind of American that believes that if you are running for office, you shouldn't sink and tank a bipartisan bill to help the border so that you could use it for your own glory. If you are like me, I worked my ass off to buy my first house and build my business and take care of my family. That is the American dream. I believe if you work that hard and you put into Social Security, when you get to a certain age, that you put in should be there waiting for you because it's yours. I believe that we all should have affordable health care and it not be replaced with the concept of a plan. What the hell? I'm the kind of American that believes that no matter what your party, we ought to be able to sit down and have civil conversation so that we can work toward a solution, the same as I do with our governor, Brian Kemp. I'm the kind of man that believes, I'm the kind of man that believes that the government nor a man should be telling a woman what she can and cannot do with her body. I'm the kind of American who believes that poll workers should do their civic duty without being harassed and threatened like Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss in Fulton County. And I am not the kind of American that glories in, enjoys, laughs at, or celebrates an 80-year-old man being hit with a hammer because his wife is in politics and you don't agree with her. And two things can be true at once. I am not the kind of man that glory in, celebrates, enjoy, or laughs at a 78-year-old former president almost meeting his death at an assassin's bullet in Butler's, Pennsylvania. It's not right. It's about decency, America, and I think you agree with me. But I am the kind of American that believes if you lose an election, that you honor the constitutional, peaceful transfer of power. And judging by your reaction, I believe Kamala is right. We have more in common than what separates us. As I'm closing here, I just want to talk about that quilt that I used to wrap up in my grandmother's car, that quilt that my grandmother gave me. That quilt was a tapestry of beautiful pieces, but I completely ignored it. I didn't think it was worth anything because she had made it from all of these stitches and gave it to me as a gift. And I was walking past this antique store years later and I saw one in the window and I go, wow, that's a beautiful quilt. It reminds me of my grandmother. So I walk in, I talk to the lady. She started explaining to me that each patch in that quilt was worth this and meant this because of the woman who made it. So when I think about America, I think about my grandmother's quilt. We are all shapes, sizes, and colors, but we are one. And it was so important for me to stand with a candidate who understands that we as America, we are a quilt. And I could never stand with a candidate who wants America to be a sheet. So today, I voted for Kamala Harris. And Georgia, it was only about 11,400 votes that separated Trump and Biden. So every vote counts. So I stand here, full-throated, with my full chest, begging you, imploring you, let's get out and make Kamala Harris the 47th president of the United States of America. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
In this town, we've seen our share of hard times, heard our share of big promises.
Up to 13,000 jobs.
But empty promises don't build cities.
Plans never materialize.
We do, with grit, sweat, and cold beer. So when he talks,
Former President Trump called Milwaukee a horrible city.
we know talk is all he's got. And this is what we've got.